Hey guys, are come back to the channel Silent Ruptor. I have finally decided which story I will start, so stay tuned on this channel. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories. Let's continue. I became immortal on mortal realm. The superior mysterious origin treasure spirit should have been regarded as a precious treasure by the Great Abyss Gate, which was why Guang Chushan allowed Zhou Xingxi to stay and enjoy the show. In his opinion, Fang Wang being able to create an Earth origin spirit treasure was already wishful thinking. Even if he succeeded, it would be a good opportunity for these two talents to know each other, support each other, and grow together. But as Fang Wang's treasure spirit surpassed the Earth origin spirit treasure, everything changed. The superior mysterious origin treasure spirit was simply not worth mentioning in front of the Heaven Yuan spirit treasure. Guang Chushan realized one thing: once Fang Wang's treasure spirit became known, the other 8 major sects would certainly find every possible means to eliminate Fang Wang, so he could not let this news spread. His gaze towards Zhou Xingxi became even colder, while Yang Yuanzi did not hide his killing intent. Facing the murderous intent of 2 sect powerhouses, Zhou Xingxi was so scared that he knelt down, begging for mercy. Sect leader, I definitely won't speak of this, truly. You must believe me. After all, I am also a possessor of the superior mysterious origin treasure spirit. In the future, I will surely make significant contributions to the Great Abyss Gate. By the end of his plea, his forehead was pressed tightly against the ground. He understood that he couldn't escape and could only beg for mercy. Yang Yuanzi looked at Guang Chushan and said coldly, "Sect leader, we cannot afford any slightest uncertainty in this matter. If you're reluctant to act, let me do it." Guang Chushan remained silent. Yang Yuanzi raised his right hand, condensing a streak of sword qi on his palm. Seeing this, Fang Wang, who held the Heavenly Palace halberd, asked, "Is there no way to control him? To prevent him from speaking of what he's seen and heard today?" He wasn't so kind-hearted. His own life being at stake, he had no interest in asking Guang Chushan and Yang Yuanzi to spare Zhou Xingxi. If Zhou Xingxi could be controlled, then he could be allowed to live. If not, then murder was the only option. The Heaven Yuan spirit treasure thrilled Fang Wang beyond his expectations. However, joy was soon followed by endless worries. The Earth origin spirit treasure alone was enough to propel the Great Abyss Gate to new heights, let alone another Heaven Yuan spirit treasure. Most importantly, Guang Chushan was still unsure of the specific grade of his Heavenly Palace halberd. At that moment, Fang Wang was even worried that Guang Chushan and Yang Yuanzi might harbor malicious intentions. After hearing Fang Wang's words, Yang Yuanzi glanced at Guang Chushan. Guang Chushan took a deep breath and said, "The Heaven Yuan spirit treasure is of great importance and must be handled with caution. Nonetheless, the Great Abyss Gate is not the demonic path. Let's do as Fang Wang suggests." Upon hearing this, Yang Yuanzi couldn't help but shake his head, thinking Guang Chushan was too merciful. Then Yang Yuanzi stepped forward, dissipating the sword qi in his hand. He pulled out a small bottle from his storage bag, squatted in front of Zhou Xingxi, grabbed his jaw with his left hand, pried his mouth open, and poured the contents of the small bottle into it. Throughout the process, Zhou Xingxi didn't show the slightest resistance, knowing this was his only chance for survival. He even cast a grateful look towards Fang Wang. Fang Wang, however, saw that the contents of the small bottle were deep red insects, making his skin crawl. This is the myriad poison autumn spring insect, incurable by any medicine. When the person dies, the insect perishes. They are born tamed, and whenever someone recites the incantation in front of the one who has ingested the insect, the myriad poison autumn spring insect will self-destruct, spreading the poison throughout the body and causing the person to die violently within 3 breaths. Yang Yuanzi stood up, looking down on Zhou Xingxi as he spoke, his face indifferent as if he were looking at a crawly insect. Afterward, he transmitted the incantation to Fang Wang secretly. Fang Wang's expression remained calm, but inside he felt it strange that his master did not seem like a member of the righteous sects at all, keeping such a poisonous creature. Turning to face Fang Wang, Guang Chushan said, "The matter of the Heaven Yuan spirit treasure must be kept secret. From now on, I won't show you any special favor publicly and will treat you as an ordinary disciple. However, you can come to me with any issue at any time, and I will help you resolve them in private. I assure you, you will be the next sect leader of the Great Abyss Gate." Regardless of character or background, the position of sect leader was now promised to Fang Wang. At that moment, Fang Wang truly understood the significance of the Heaven Yuan spirit treasure, and he quickly replied, "Whether I become the sect leader is irrelevant to me. Having joined the Great Abyss Gate, I will forever be a disciple, ready to go through fire and water for the sect." Fancy words, who can't say them? At least he needed to handle the current situation better to avoid arousing Guang Chushan's suspicion. Only the four of us can be privy to this matter. Fang Wang, you also cannot tell your clan. The Heaven Yuan spirit treasure is indeed powerful, but you have not yet grown. You must stay low-key. From now on, your life spirit treasure will be set as the superior mysterious origin treasure spirit, Guang Chushan said, glancing at Zhou Xingxi, who had just gotten up, and spoke firmly, "Zhou Xingxi, from now on, your duty will be to protect Fang Wang. You shall follow his commands, and your treatment will be the same as that of a chief disciple of a single meridian." Hearing that, Zhou Xingxi hurriedly expressed his thanks to Guang Chushan, then thanked Fang Wang again. Yang Yuanzi followed up, saying, "Sect leader, let me take Fang Wang away first. Many people have arrived outside, and they must not see Fang Wang." Guang Chushan nodded, and then Yang Yuanzi retrieved another set of clothes from his storage bag and threw them to Fang Wang. Fang Wang quickly dressed and followed Yang Yuanzi's footsteps. There was actually a tunnel leading underground inside Xiuan Hall. Along the way, Fang Wang was feeling the Heavenly Palace halberd inside his body. Inside him, the Heavenly Palace halberd occupied an independent space above the Dantian. It was pitch black, and he couldn't tell whether it was an extra-dimensional space or a soul space. However, he could feel the presence of the Heavenly Palace halberd and could summon it at any time. But there was one thing that puzzled him. The space occupied by the Heavenly Palace halberd was very small compared to the entire dark space, and it wasn't in the central position. Could there be a second life spirit treasure? The tunnel was quiet, and just as Fang Wang was curious and confused, Yang Yuanzi's voice came from ahead, "Fang Wang, remember, you can't fully trust anyone, including the sect leader, and even your master." Fang Wang looked up, watching Yang Yuanzi's back, unsure of how to respond. People's hearts ultimately change. The sect leader is willing to train you as the next leader because he hasn't reached his limit. When he faces his limit, what kind of evil thoughts he might have, even your master can't imagine. In the cultivation world, seizing treasures and seizing bodies are not uncommon. Not to hide this from you, your master has once had such evil thoughts. Yang Yuanzi's tone was ghostly, making it impossible to gauge what he was thinking. Fang Wang spoke, "Thank you for the reminder, master. Your disciple will keep it in mind. I will never forget your kindness and will repay you in the future." "Is that so?" Yang Yuanzi chuckled without ever turning back or stopping his stride. For the rest of the journey, he remained silent, and Fang Wang grew anxious, fearing a sudden attack. Fortunately, their trip passed without incident, and upon reaching the cave entrance, Yang Yuanzi told him to go back to his dwelling first. Fang Wang flew away on his sword, and along the way, he noticed many disciples gathered at various peaks, seemingly discussing something. Since his induction, it was the first time he had seen such a lively scene. Could it be related to the commotion caused by the heavenly palace halberd? Fang Wang's heart tensed, and he quickened his pace. Upon returning to the third vein, he landed at the entrance of his dwelling and saw Ji Yu Li standing at her entrance, gazing into the distance. Ji Yu Li turned to face Fang Wang and asked, "Brother Fang, where have you returned from?" Fang Wang replied, "I went to the Daofa Pavilion. Something seems to have happened at the Tai Yuan sect. If Miss Ji Yu is interested, you could talk with the other disciples." With that, he entered his dwelling. Ji Yu Li's face betrayed her suspicion, but she didn't think too much about it. She was full of confusion about what could have happened to make her life spirit treasure uncontrollable. After closing the door of his dwelling, Fang Wang went straight to the open space inside and summoned the heavenly palace halberd, admiring his life spirit treasure the more he looked at it. Holding the heavenly palace halberd, he felt an overwhelming sense of power. No wonder spiritual refinement was so crucial for cultivators. Then, he retracted the heavenly palace halberd and sat cross-legged on his white jade bed to consolidate his cultivation. He had reached the first layer of the soul sculpting realm, which was also divided into 9 layers. He planned to practice calmly and wait for the commotion to pass. The emergence of the heavenly palace halberd had changed Fang Wang's approach. He could no longer focus solely on swordsmanship and would have to learn the arts of using long weapons. The Jinghong divine sword art wasn't a waste. After all, it didn't require a sword. He resolved not to use the heavenly palace halberd casually while in the Tai Yuan sect and felt that the Jinghong divine sword art should be enough to sweep through competitors of the same realm. Pretending to be a sword cultivator. And so, 2 months hurried by. After entering the soul sculpting realm, Fang Wang's progress in cultivation began to slow down. Even with the great perfection Solaris scripture, he barely managed to break through to the second layer after 2 months. Until this day, Fang Hanyu came to visit Fang Wang, interrupting his life of cultivation. After inviting Fang Hanyu into his dwelling, the brothers exchanged pleasantries. Fang Hanyu brought up the recent significant events in the Tai Yuan sect. All cultivators in the soul sculpting realm had experienced their life spirit treasures becoming uncontrollable at the same time, leading to a speculation circulating within the sect. That was the birth of a supreme treasure. Upon hearing such speculation, Fang Wang breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Before he was strong enough, he dared not expose the rank of his life spirit treasure. "Fang Wang, I visited you today because I have something." Fang Hanyu hesitated. Fang Wang rolled his eyes and replied irritably, "I can't stand your dithering. Since you're already here, you can't possibly hold it in, can you? Just say it. We are brothers, after all." "Well, not blood brothers, so don't ask for too much." Relieved, Fang Hanyu said, "I plan to go out for training. Zhou Shui instructed me to look after the other clan members and to trouble you as little as possible. But if I stay within the Tai Yuan sect, it's hard to advance by leaps and bounds, considering I'm just an inner sect disciple. I want to seek out opportunities." "Is that all? Do you have a plan?" Fang Wang asked. "Each person has their destiny. The other Fang family disciples didn't have his talent or privilege. Seeking their fortunes was the right thing to do." Fang Hanyu nodded and said, "A senior sister from the second vein has obtained a map of a secret realm that is said to contain a great cultivator's remains. 23 disciples from my vein have decided to go together, and I don't want to miss out." Fang Wang considered for a moment, then nodded. "Go then, I'll take care of the other clan members." Fang Hanyu showed his gratitude with a smile, quickly thanked him, and after a short chat, he took his leave since there was no more to discuss. No sooner had he left than another visitor arrived at Fang Wang's doorstep. Zhou Xingxi. With the spell to kill Zhou Xingxi in hand, Fang Wang naturally wasn't afraid of him, so he invited him into his dwelling. Though Zhou Xingxi wore the Dao robe of a Tai Yuan sect disciple, he kept his bamboo hat on, looking travel-worn. He sat down at the stone table and took out 2 jade slips from inside his chest. These are the superior spell arts entrusted to me by the sect leader for you. They suit your treasure spirit and must not be disclosed to others. Not to be passed on outside. Then how about I pass it on to you? Fang Wang looked at Zhou Xingxi, asking with a chuckle. Zhou Xingxi's complexion changed slightly, and he quickly said, Brother Fang, please don't jest with me. How dare I harbor such wild thoughts? Fang Wang shook his head and laughed. I'm not joking. You are my man now, and naturally, I want you to become stronger and stronger. Go back for now. Come pick up these 2 jade slips after 7 days. Upon hearing this, Zhou Xingxi felt an unexpected joy but dared not show it. He could only agree, then stood up and left. Having taken just a few steps, he suddenly remembered something and turned back, saying, Oh right, the sect leader asked me to remind you that you can still take on the usual tasks of the third vein. They can hone your combat experience and cultivate your moral character. Should you have any needs, you can seek him out. Just the rewards for the tasks will not change on the surface. Zhou Xingxi was filled with emotion. Thinking about the Heaven Yuan spirit treasure that Fang Wang possessed, he couldn't help but feel astounded. That is the legendary Heaven Yuan spirit treasure. The II Cultivation realm has never seen one since ancient times. Zhou Xingxi wouldn't doubt Guang Chushan's judgment because on that day, his precious spirit was truly frightened, and afterwards, he learned that all the precious spirits in the Great Abyss Gate were uncontrollable, possessing such might from the moment they were formed. Apart from the legendary Heaven Yuan spirit treasure, what other grade could it be? Fang Wang nodded, then picked up one of the jade slips on the table. Seeing this, Zhou Xingxi didn't try to disturb him further and quickly left. Once the mountain gate of the dwelling was closed, Fang Wang looked at the jade slip in his hand, thinking to himself, Zhou Xingxi, are you truly my man, or are you the sect leaders? Let's see how you perform. He took Yang Yuanzi's words to heart. He wouldn't fully trust anyone, at least not in his heart. The so-called myriad poison eternal insect, Fang Wang always felt there was more to it than just chanting spells in front of him. The chanting should only ensure Fang Wang could prevent Zhou Xingxi from assassinating him. Surely Yang Yuanzi had other methods. At the very least, he could control Zhou Xingxi's life and death from afar. This was interesting. Zhou Xingxi's life and death were in Yang Yuanzi's hands, and he carried out tasks for Guang Chushan. Now, he was supposed to assist Fang Wang. With 3 identities, he probably felt extremely uncomfortable himself. Fang Wang began to read the jade slip with his spiritual sense. The first thing he saw was 4 large characters. Body protecting divine barrier. Ellipsis. The 7 days quickly passed by. Zhou Xingxi arrived as promised. Inside the dwelling, he held the 2 jade slips and hesitantly asked, You're really giving these to me? And in such a short time, have you completely memorized all the methods for cultivation? Fang Wang nodded, saying, It's not difficult to memorize. Go and cultivate them. For Zhou Xingxi, it was just 7 days, but for Fang Wang, 138 years had passed. Within the heavenly palace, it took him 40 years to cultivate the body-protecting divine barrier, and 98 years to cultivate the great celestial thunder technique. The body-protecting divine barrier, as the name suggests, is a defensive spell. And the great celestial thunder technique is very domineering. It summons the thunder of the firmament to descend upon the world and annihilate enemies, its power boundless. From the duration of practice, it was clear Guang Chushan had not been careless, they were all superior techniques. Mere cultivators spend most of their days gathering qi, and the time spent to practice spells rarely exceeds a third. To master the body-protecting divine barrier to great perfection, it's estimated it would take hundreds of years, and this is still under the assumption that one's talent is similar to Fang Wang's. Not to mention the great celestial thunder technique, it's certainly something most disciples of the Great Abyss Gate couldn't even dream of touching in their lifetimes. As a direct disciple, Fang Wang could still choose 3 superior Dharma techniques from the Daofa Pavilion, but he had no intention of doing so for the time being. As it stands, he already had his combat methods, it would be better to focus his energies on accumulating his cultivation level. Zhou Xingxi looked at the 2 jade slips in his hands, his emotions in turmoil. That he was still alive was because Fang Wang had spoken for him. Now, without having done anything yet, Fang Wang had bestowed upon him 2 supreme techniques. How could he not be moved? However, he was not one to express himself. Understood. Zhou Xingxi answered and then performed a formal bow before leaving. Only after the mountain gate was closed did Fang Wang settle down to cultivate in peace. It was nothing more than gilding the lily. If it could win over people's hearts, then naturally it was good. If not, he wouldn't be at a loss. Ellipsis. With autumn passing and winter arriving, the flying snow finally came, covering the peaks of the Great Abyss Gate in a blanket of white, a vast scene with its own unique charm. A giant flying sword cut through the vast snow, landing at the city gate of the Great Abyss Gate sprawling. City. 2 figures leapt down from the flying sword, one of them was the Emperor of Da Qi, disguised and dressed like a scholar. The Tai Yuan sect disciple standing on the flying sword looked down at him and said, "Your token only allows you to stay for a month. After a month, leave on your own, or our enforcement hall won't be lenient with you." With that said, the disciple left on his sword. As he disappeared into the endless snow, the young man behind the Emperor of Da Qi sneered, "Your Majesty, that person is truly arrogant, it's just." Silence. Do not speak rashly. The Emperor of Da Qi scolded him in a cold voice, frightening the young man into silence. The snowflakes danced around them. The Emperor of Da Qi brushed the snow off his head and, looking at the imposing city walls with admiration in his eyes, whispered, "Let's go, let's take a look at this land of immortals." Amidst the vast snow, a master and his servant walked towards the city gate. Their figures were so small, as if they could be buried by the snow at any moment. Elsewhere, atop the 3rd Veins Peak, the mountain gate to a cave dwelling opened, with Fang Wang leading out 6 of his clan members, chatting and laughing. "Brother Fang Wang, we're heading out first. When you get back, you must cultivate diligently. Hehe, with the guidance from 13th brother, we will definitely cultivate well. Fang Wang, rest assured, I will certainly become an inner sect disciple." Fang Wang stopped in his tracks and watched as they descended the mountain. Having joined the Great Abyss Gate for 10 months, all these Fang family disciples handpicked by Zhou Shui had cultivated spiritual power and embarked on the path of cultivation, with the highest among them reaching the 3rd layer of the Qi cultivation realm. However, their sword control technique had not yet been perfected, preventing them from flying down the mountain on their swords, and thus they had to walk down the mountain on foot. With heavy snow fluttering down, Fang Wang's heart filled with warmth as he watched the silhouettes of his clan members slowly disappear into the whitened landscape. In a past life, while reading cultivator novels, he thought the path of cultivation was lonely and desolate, but now, having this group of clan members by his side, there was a sense of reliance in his heart, and this feeling was quite nice. At this moment, Fang Wang suddenly understood why Zhou Shui had taken the Fang family disciples along to cultivate. Apart from her planning, companionship and support were crucial. Being isolated might inspire potential, but it could also be exhausting. Then, the mountain gate of the neighboring cave dwelling abruptly opened, and Ji Yuli emerged. Seeing her, Fang Wang felt a headache coming on. This young lady had truly set her sights on him. Every time he came out, as long as she was in the cave dwelling, she would follow him out. Ji Yuli naturally walked over to Fang Wang's side and asked, "Are they all your clan members?" Fang Wang could only respond politely, "We grew up together since we were young." Ji Yuli lifted her right hand to gently sweep back her hair, saying, "I'm truly envious of you. Only I from the Ji family came to the Great Abyss Gate, the others went to different sects. To ensure longevity, a cultivation family often disperses its members across different sects. The Fang family had only just entered the cultivation world and had yet to develop this kind of foundation." The two started chatting idly, and Fang Wang, having cultivated intensely for a while, wanted to enjoy the scenery, so he kept her company. Most of the time, it was Ji Yuli who spoke while Fang Wang listened. "By the way, have you already achieved spiritual refinement? Successfully? Why can't I see through your cultivation level? Could it be that you've surpassed me?" Ji Yuli asked curiously, her bright, expressive eyes fixated on Fang Wang with an unusual sparkle. Unable to withstand her gaze, Fang Wang looked into the distance and said, "I have successfully achieved spiritual refinement, a superior mysterious origin treasure spirit." His cultivation had reached the third level of the spiritual refinement realm, not far from the fourth, while Ji Yuli was still at the first level, naturally unable to discern his level. "Guess what grade my treasure spirit is?" Ji Yuli blinked, and asked with a giggle, hiding her mouth with her hand. Fang Wang could tell that hers was higher than his as soon as he heard it. No wonder she became a direct disciple so quickly. He had previously assumed it was due to the Ji family's influence, but now it seemed her aptitude was the key factor. It looked like Zhou Shui was right. Even without him, the Great Abyss Gate would become the strongest sect in the II Cultivation realm. An Earth origin treasure spirit? Fang Wang cautiously guessed. A lower grade Earth origin precious spirit. Although the grade of the treasure spirit is slightly higher than yours, you've overtaken me in terms of cultivation. It seems that your cultivation technique is stronger than mine. Why don't we have a sparring match when we're about to break through to the spirit elixir realm? Ji Yuli nodded, her face filled with anticipation. So that was her angle. Fang Wang had thought Ji Yuli had taken a liking to him, but it turned out she just couldn't stand losing. With that being the case, he felt no pressure and immediately lifted his chin, laughing, "All right, but you better cultivate diligently. I'll wait for you to challenge me before every major realm breakthrough." "It's a deal." The two exchanged smiles and then Ji Yuli began to talk about the customs and culture of the North Luo, introducing her own family. It wasn't until half an hour later that the bell of the third vein rang. Fang Wang had heard this kind of bell sound twice before, signaling the arrival of a vein mission. He had not paid attention to it previously, as direct disciples could ignore these missions. "Let's go take a look. You can't always stay cooped up in the cave dwelling," Ji Yuli suggested. After a moment's hesitation, Fang Wang nodded. For some reason, upon hearing the bell, he felt an inexplicable unease, as if something bad had happened. The two flew on their swords towards Qingxin Hall at the peak of the mountain. Disciples emerged from the cave dwellings scattered across the third vein's peak, all flying toward the summit and eventually gathering in front of Qingxin Hall. Upon the arrival of Fang Wang and Ji Yuli, numerous disciples immediately surrounded them with great enthusiasm. Some of the male disciples clenched their fists in secret, thinking the two had already established some kind of relationship. Some female disciples who had developed a fondness for him were secretly heartbroken, thinking the handsome brother Fang already had his eyes on someone. The eldest disciple, Li Yu, stood on the steps with his hands behind his back. Seeing Fang Wang arrive, he nodded and smiled. After a while, once enough disciples had arrived, Li Yu finally spoke up. Today, I've called everyone here because our second vein's disciples have encountered trouble and need assistance from our third vein. This mission is completely voluntary and will require going into the territory of a demonic sect. Disciples from the second vein in trouble. Fang Wang immediately thought of Han Yu. He had been absent for several months with no return, and the youngest Fang Xin had been worried about him during their previous conversations. As soon as Li Yu finished speaking, some disciples immediately questioned why they from the third vein should be involved in the second vein's matters. Facing the disciples' confusion, Li Yu explained, this matter concerns the second channel, so they naturally have to participate. Their mission, however, is different from ours. They are to confront the demonic sect, while our task is to rescue the disciples of the second channel. Those disciples were scattered after being attacked by demonic cultivators, which is why the tasks assigned to us are more dispersed. Zhou Bo asked, why did the disciples of the second channel go to the territory of the demonic path? Li Yu did not conceal the truth and answered, they discovered a secret realm of a great cultivator from the Jihao sect, so the disciples organized themselves to explore it. Unfortunately, they encountered an attack by demonic cultivators. Jihao sect. The gathered disciples of the third channel at the foot of the steps immediately became noisy, discussing among themselves. It was obvious that they all had heard of the name of the Jihao sect. Fang Wang whispered to Ji Yu Li beside him, what's the history of the Jihao sect? Hearing this, he could be certain that it was Fang Hanyu and the other disciples who were in trouble. The Jihao sect was a great sect from 1,000 years ago. Both Dachi and the surrounding dynasties were once under its rule, but for some unknown reason, the Jihao sect fell apart. The 9 great sects that exist today all rose after its collapse. Everything about the Jihao sect has since been sought after by various sects and noble families, especially the Jihao sect's heritage, Ji Yu Li replied. Being from a great clan does have its advantages, she knew so much. As Fang Wang hesitated, Li Yu's voice came, according to the intelligence sent back by the second channel disciples, they have discovered the legendary heavenly gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong. The mission to investigate this divine skill offers the greatest reward. Anyone who acquires this divine skill can be directly promoted to direct disciple. It's a common mission for the disciples of all 9 channels, but there are very few clues about this divine skill, making the mission extremely difficult. Heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong. Sounds so domineering. Fang Wang's life spirit treasure was a long weapon, so he had decided to focus on enhancing his physical body in the future. This heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong sounded exactly like the kind of domineering skill he was looking for. He asked Ji Yu Li again, is the heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong very powerful? Ji Yu Li nodded with a look of yearning, saying, according to legend, the heavenly body possesses the power to move mountains and overturn seas. In ancient myths, the heavenly body is also one of the ancient gods, symbolizing strength, and the heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong is the cultivation technique to train the heavenly body. It is also one of the strongest cultivation techniques of the Jihao sect. In the II Cultivation realm, legends of the heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong have been circulating. Move mountains and overturn seas. Fang Wang's heart stirred upon hearing this, as did the other disciples. However, no one stepped forward to take on the mission. After a moment's thought, Fang Wang stepped forward toward Li Yu. It's not for Fang Hanyu, it's for the heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong. Big senior brother, I will take the mission. Fang Wang approached Li Yu and said. Li Yu hesitated upon hearing this and, seeing all the disciples' eyes on him, had no choice but to remind him through a sound transmission, "Brother Fang, this task could be very easy or very dangerous, and that heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong is elusive. As a direct disciple, you don't have to take the risk. Let the other disciples gain experience." Fang Wang did not respond with the sound transmission technique but instead said directly, "I have a relative in the second channel who might be involved in this. His name is Fang Hanyu. I don't know if you have any information about him, but I must go and save him." Upon hearing this, Li Yu could only give up. He searched his storage bag with his divine sense and soon lifted his right hand. A piece of green jade appeared in the palm of his hand. Fang Hanyu's token last transmitted spiritual power to the sect from the location recorded in this guide jade. "It will lead you to that place. We don't have any more clues at the moment," Li Yu said. Fang Wang took the green jade, thanked Li Yu, and then turned and left. Seeing Fang Wang participate, other disciples immediately rushed up to Li Yu to receive missions. Ji Yu Li approached Fang Wang and asked, "Do you need my help?" Fang Wang shook his head and replied, "I'm not just on a mission, you better not get involved. Focus on your cultivation. I will wait for you to challenge me at the 9th layer of the soul sculpting realm." Ji Yu Li nodded, not lingering any longer, and the two flew toward the cave abode. Back at the cave, Fang Wang started packing his things. Once he was finished, he probed into the green jade with his divine sense. His consciousness was immediately enveloped in darkness, and instinctively, he looked around and saw a distant light. This was the direction to follow. The overall principle of cultivation mentioned this jade, called the guide jade. This was Fang Wang's first time using it, and he was quite curious. He didn't delay for too long. After determining the direction, he put the guide jade back into his storage bag and then stood up to leave. After leaving the cave abode, he did not immediately depart from the Great Abyss Gate but instead headed toward the Elixir Hall to claim all the sect's elixirs for the past 6 months and also to buy some healing medicines, just in case. Half an hour later, Fang Wang, stepping on a flying sword, left the giant city and prepared to descend the mountain. "Wait, I'll come with you," a voice called out. Fang Wang turned his head and saw Zhou Xingxi approaching. Seeing him arrive, Fang Wang knew he was being monitored. Yang Yuanzi must have entrusted other disciples to keep an eye on his whereabouts. It might be well-intentioned, but he had to be cautious. "Who sent you?" Fang Wang asked. Zhou Xingxi flew alongside Fang Wang on his sword and replied, "It was your mentor. He's concerned that you might run into trouble on your first descent from the mountain. If we work together, we at least have each other for support." Fang Wang nodded, not asking further, and continued on his way. The two of them crossed the vast expanse of white snow, their figures quickly disappearing from sight. Ellipsis. In the western territory of Dachi, under a blue sky with white clouds, green mountains and clear waters converge to create a beautiful scenery. In a valley, where flowers and grass grow in abundance, and tree branches and leaves are extremely dense, Fang Hanyu leaned against a tree trunk, his body shaded by the leaves. His clothes were dirty and tattered, and a piece of cloth was tied over his eyes, covering them. He wanted to exercise his inner strength, but couldn't help coughing violently, even coughing up blood. "Stop moving, you've been poisoned by Green Cicada Valley. Even with my treatment, you will need a few years to recover," a woman's voice came. A young girl was squatting on a nearby tree, dressed in green with a fox mask covering her face, her figure suggesting she was only about 15 or 16 years old. Fang Hanyu, unable to see, asked, "When will I be able to walk?" "Wait for 3 more months. You were lucky to survive with your broken bones. Stop rushing it, okay?" the girl in green said impatiently with a snort. Fang Hanyu fell silent, his fists clenched tightly inside his sleeves, filled with frustration. At this moment, he suddenly thought of Fang Wang, Zhou Shui, and the other family members at Great Abyss Gate. Then he thought of the Fang residence in Southern Hills City. He tried hard to calm his emotions, motivating himself, because he could not fall here. A sharp cry swept across the firmament, disturbing the birds and animals in the forest. The girl in green looked up to see a giant demon bird sweeping over the valley. She clicked her tongue in wonder and said, "What on earth could it be to cause so many demonic cultivators to stir up trouble? They seem to be searching for something. Could it be you? Are you hiding something they want?" Fang Hanyu did not answer, and leaning against the tree, he seemed to have fallen asleep. "Tisk, if you won't talk, then don't. I don't want to cause trouble. You better pray they don't discover this place. If they do, I can't protect you. I will definitely leave you behind." The girl in green huffed, and laying down on the branch, she prepared to rest. Fang Hanyu slightly raised his head, as if wanting to look at the sky, but it had been a long time since he had seen any light. Ellipsis. Night fell. In the woods, Fang Wang and Zhou Xingxi sat in front of a campfire, the light casting their shadows long. The seasons inside Great Abyss Gate differ greatly from the mortal realm, Fang Wang remarked. Having descended the mountain for 5 days and nearing the direction indicated by the guide Jade, Fang Wang tried not to think about the possibility of Fang Hanyu being dead. Zhou Xingxi nodded and said, "The 9 great sects all have their own spiritual formations, which gather more of nature's spiritual energy. Thus, their celestial phenomena also last longer than in the mortal realm." Fang Wang asked, "Have you cultivated the body-protecting divine barrier and the great celestial thunder technique?" In response, Zhou Xingxi showed a bitter smile and said, "Those 2 divine skills are extremely profound. Without decades of arduous cultivation, it's very hard to master them." Fang Wang, now interested, pressed on, "How many spells have you mastered, and how many of those have you brought to great completion?" "I've acquired 7 spells, but only one really reaches great completion, and it's a family heritage. The path of cultivation alone, just the accumulation of qi gathering to build cultivation, already takes a significant amount of time. Just having one spell at great completion is already quite an achievement," Zhou Xingxi replied honestly, glancing at Fang Wang unconsciously. He couldn't forget the sight of Fang Wang single-handedly battling 51 cultivators. That sword which intimidated Ji Yu Li was definitely of great completion level, as well as his cultivation technique, the terrible flames that clearly also reached a state of great completion. Fang Wang felt somewhat relieved after hearing this. After all, others did not have the heavenly palace, and even soul-sculpting realm cultivators could only advance a few spells to great completion. Aside from the rank of his life spirit treasure, he also held an advantage in his combat methods. He had mastered Solaris scripture, Jinghong divine sword art, white rainbow evasion technique, body-protecting divine barrier, and great celestial thunder technique, all at the level of great perfection. He could attack, defend, and escape, making him a fully rounded combatant. Following this direction, we might encounter Green Cicada Valley or Wangyu Mountain. Green Cicada Valley is a demonic sect known for using poison, while Wangyu Mountain is more comprehensive. The 2 sects are neighbors and fight incessantly. We need to be cautious in our actions to avoid revealing our identities, Zhou Xingxi reminded him. Fang Wang nodded and said, "I just want to find my family members. I won't act recklessly." How strong could the heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong be? Solaris scripture was considered inner strength, so the heavenly body divine skill must be an external technique. With both internal and external skills, his power would leap forward. Zhou Xingxi said no more and began to sit in meditation, gathering qi. Fang Wang did the same. The night grew deeper, and the occasional howl of wolves could be heard. In the blink of an eye, 3 days later, Fang Wang and Zhou Xingxi arrived at a mountain town. They changed into the clothes they had worn before entering Great Abyss Gate. Fang Wang donned a body-fitting white garment, and wore a bamboo hat given to him by Zhou Xingxi, resembling a wandering swordsman. Zhou Xingxi's voice transmitted mentally, "The spiritual energy here is richer than in other places, probably a market built by cultivators." When asking for information, only mention Fang Hanyu's appearance. "I have a bad feeling, the place is unusually crowded." Fang Wang, having learned the sound transmission technique from the basic principles of cultivation, responded affirmatively. He then began to observe the people along his way. The denizens of the town almost all had the aura of spiritual power. Most were in the 5th level of the II Cultivation realm or below, posing no threat. According to the guide Jade, the last time Fang Hanyu contacted the sect using his disciple token was in this town. After entering the town, Fang Wang and Zhou Xingxi did not immediately seek to inquire about the whereabouts of Fang Hanyu, choosing instead to look around first. Fang Wang had previously asked Zhou Xingxi how to identify demonic cultivators, to which Zhou Xingxi replied that one should not judge based on appearance or aura, but by considering the environment and actions. The cultivators within the town were of mixed repute, making it impossible to determine the town's stance for the time being. As they moved on, Fang Wang heard the names of various sects and noble families along the way. It seemed that this place was truly a gathering place of loose cultivators, a market where trading of cultivation resources took place, with no one patrolling around specifically. "You find a place to stay first, I'll investigate the clues alone," Zhou Xingxi communicated to Fang Wang via the sound transmission technique. Fang Wang replied through the same technique, "How can that be okay? You are here to help me, how could I do nothing? Although I come from a cultivation family, I have been wandering the world since I was 10 and have long ventured through the cultivation world. I am confident I can find clues about Fang Hanyu. You are stronger than I am, and should danger arise, your assistance will be needed sooner or later. With so many cultivators in this town, I fear something big might happen. It's better for us to act separately," Zhou Xingxi explained through sound transmission. After pondering for a moment, Fang Wang agreed, admitting that he indeed knew less about the cultivation world than Zhou Xingxi. Subsequently, the two found an inn, booked rooms, and after Fang Wang went upstairs, Zhou Xingxi left the inn to continue the investigation. Once in his room, Fang Wang closed the door and sat down on the bed to cultivate. Though he was only at the 3rd layer of the soul sculpting realm, he was confident in his ability to sweep through cultivators of the same realm. After all, he mastered many great perfection techniques and possessed what might be a Heaven Yuan spirit treasure, the Heavenly Palace halberd. Even filled with confidence, he didn't want to waste time, as even the most potent inner strength required time to accumulate cultivation levels. The sun set, and the moon rose. With nightfall, the town grew quiet. Fang Wang occasionally sensed presences passing by the window, indicating that the night would not be peaceful. As long as he wasn't disturbed, he couldn't be bothered to go out and investigate. The night passed. At the break of dawn, the town became lively once more, with rambunctious noises filling the streets. With Fang Wang's hearing, he could make out some conversations. A disciple of Green Cicada Valley was found dead on the bridge to the east. Who did it? Could it be Wangyu Mountain? These two sects have been active a lot recently, as if they're searching for something. It's said that the lair of a great cultivator of Jihao sect was discovered in the demonic lands over 500 miles to the west. That person died horribly, even their eyes were dug out. In his room, Fang Wang slowly opened his eyes. It seemed the news had already spread, making the search for Fang Hanyu even more challenging. He would have to put the training of his heavenly gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong on hold and not rush it. Fang Wang contemplated in his heart, deciding to leave once he found Fang Hanyu. But Zhou Xingxi had not returned all night. Had he run into trouble? Fang Wang's gaze flickered with caution. He remained vigilant about Zhou Xingxi, worrying that Guang Chushan and Yang Yuanzi might be plotting against him. But then he thought, if they truly wanted to steal his treasure spirits, why go through such elaborate schemes for someone only at the soul sculpting realm? He suppressed the suspicion in his heart and decided to wait a bit longer. If Zhou Xingxi hadn't returned by noon, then he would have to take action on his own. Fortunately, things were not as bad as he had feared. An hour later, Zhou Xingxi returned. Upon entering the room, Zhou Xingxi closed all doors and windows. The situation is grim. Our disciple might have indeed obtained some legacy. Both Green Cicada Valley and Wangyu Mountain are searching for the whereabouts of the Tai Yuan sect disciples, Zhou Xingxi communicated, sitting in front of Fang Wang and still using the sound transmission technique. Fang Wang responded using the same technique. Then, do you have any trace of Fang Hanyu? 4 months ago, Fang Hanyu indeed appeared in this town, but was chased by Green Cicada Valley and ran towards the deep mountains. The incident was witnessed by many merchants who have long resided in the town. Zhou Xingxi hesitated for a moment before continuing, being pursued by Green Cicada Valley for 4 months and still not returning to the sect. I fear he might be. He did not finish his sentence, but Fang Wang understood well. The odds were stacked against them. Fang Wang frowned. He and Fang Hanyu had a good relationship when they were young, and regardless, they shared the same surname. Plus, he had promised Zhou Shui to take care of their clan members. By the way, Zhou Shui is from your clan, right? Can she be trusted? Zhou Xingxi suddenly asked via sound transmission. Fang Wang raised an eyebrow, asking in return, why do you ask that? Have you met her? Indeed, the one who took out the Green Cicada Valley disciple last night was her. She was ruthless, using Green Cicada Valley's methods to gouge out the man's eyes, Zhou Xingxi said, shuddering uncontrollably with a look of fear. To Fang Wang's surprise, he felt elation instead. If Zhou Shui had arrived, then the chances of finding Fang Hanyu had increased. Trustworthy. I've been through life and death with her. You've seen her and she didn't notice you. He replied. He was doubtful inside. Could Zhou Xingxi's experience in the cultivation world truly compare to Zhou Shui's? Zhou Xingxi shook his head, about to reply, when suddenly the door was pushed open, startling both of them to their feet. They fixed their gaze on the entrance, where a red-dressed woman wearing a bamboo hat walked in. Lifting her head, she looked at Fang Wang and Zhou Xingxi with a condescending smile. Who could it be if not Zhou Shui? You. Zhou Xingxi, pale with shock, instinctively stepped in front of Fang Wang. Zhou Shui laughed and said, I was wondering why the Tai Yuan sect disciples were investigating the whereabouts of Fang Hanyu. Although the boy has good talent, his late start needs time to settle. The Tai Yuan sect shouldn't care about him. It turns out that the person behind this is you, kid. How did you two end up together? Having not seen her for several months, Zhou Shui appeared even more graceful, and Fang Wang still could not see through the depth of her cultivation. No, he must learn the secret of how she conceals her cultivation. Fang Wang said helplessly, can you close the door before we talk? Zhou Shui raised her hand, and the door behind her closed through the air. She took a seat at the table, her voice devoid of warmth. Everyone in the inn has gone out to watch the excitement. You think you're cautious, using sound transmission technique to communicate, but daring to come here is simply reckless. The legacy of the Jihao sect has spread, and even though you have reached the soul sculpting realm, it's still very dangerous. Her gaze was intense as she looked at Fang Wang, making him feel uncomfortable. Fang Wang cleared his throat and said, "It's all because Fang Hanyu went missing. I had no choice but to come. Who asked you to entrust their care to me? It's your duty to look after them within the sect. What are you doing running around outside? You've been in the Tai Yuan sect for less than a year and already reached the third layer of the soul sculpting realm. You should be focusing on your cultivation. Maybe in 10 years, you could reach the spirit elixir realm, and then you'd have enough strength to travel the cultivation world." Zhou Shui glared at Fang Wang and scolded him, clearly feeling like he was not living up to his potential. Zhou Xingxi walked to the side, curious about the closeness between Zhou Shui and Fang Wang, but even more shocked to learn that Fang Wang had reached the third layer of the soul sculpting realm. The two had begun their spiritual refinement on the same day, yet he had not even broken through to the second layer of the soul sculpting realm. Was this the difference between a mysterious origin treasure spirit and a heaven yuan spirit treasure? When reprimanded by Zhou Shui, Fang Wang didn't get angry. Instead, he felt somewhat warmed by it. In this unfamiliar place where the fate of his clansmen was unknown and he was caught between a rock and a hard place, Zhou Shui's appearance brought him hope. After all, she was an immortal venerable reborn. Following her would surely increase his chances of survival. By the way, what grade is your life spirit treasure? Have you reached an earth origin spirit treasure? Zhou Shui inquired. Life spirit treasures are special. Unless a cultivator reveals them, it's difficult for others to discern them. It's said that life spirit treasures are hidden within the soul, imperceptible even to divine consciousness from the outside. Fang Wang nodded. Before he acted in the heavenly palace, his sword-shaped life spirit treasure indeed could have been considered an earth origin spirit treasure. It seemed Zhou Shui's discernment was sharp. She had pinpointed it with a glance. Zhou Xingxi internally roared with frustration. It was not just an earth origin spirit treasure, damn it, it was a heaven yuan spirit treasure. It was precisely because Fang Wang's life spirit treasure was a heaven yuan spirit treasure that he found himself in this awkward situation, pressured by three parties and hesitating. Let's talk about Fang Hanyu. Weren't you supposed to be out for several years? After we find Fang Hanyu, I'll take him back, and you can continue traversing the world, Zhou Shui proposed. Fang Wang changed the subject, aware that the more time wasted, the greater the danger Fang Hanyu might face. Zhou Shui's smile faded as she calmly said, "He's not dead. As for how I know, I can't tell you for now. I'll go save him. You return to the mainland and find a place to wait for me." Fang Wang frowned and said, "Zhou Shui, I can help you. No matter what, since we started on the path of cultivation at the same time, our strengths shouldn't be too far apart." Zhou Xingxi was beside them, and it wasn't appropriate for Fang Wang to speak too openly. Zhou Shui couldn't help but think back to the night of the massacre when she had indeed been careless. If not for Fang Wang's intervention, she might have had to abandon the Fang residence and flee alone. Then, just like in her previous life, burdened with a vendetta, she would have entered the cultivation world, not nearly as carefree as she was now. This operation might encounter a master of the 9th layer of the soul sculpting realm. "Prepare yourselves mentally," Zhou Shui said gravely. Zhou Xingxi's eyelids twitched, and he clenched his fists. Fang Wang asked in surprise, "Are you sure we won't encounter any master of the spirit elixir realm?" Zhou Shui gave him a sidelong glance and said, "Based on my investigation, at least 90% sure." Fang Wang immediately understood. Zhou Shui in her previous life must have been involved or knew about this matter, hence her confidence. The remaining 10% represented uncertainty. Nothing in the world was absolute. "Then let's go," Fang Wang said in a deep voice. Soul sculpting realm 9th layer. He wondered if his full strength, equipped with a heaven yuan spirit treasure, the great perfection of Solaris scripture, the great perfection of Jinghong divine sword art, and the great perfection of great celestial thunder technique, could withstand such an opponent. There was always a burning desire within Feng Wang to chase after the strongest. He was eager to know just how powerful he could be if he gave his all. If the opponent was of the spirit elixir realm, then fleeing would be the best choice, but if it was only the soul sculpting realm, then excuse me, but my sword has not been tested in vain. There's no rush. Wait another 5 days. Practice here for now. I have things to do, Zhou Shui said, then stood up, ready to leave the room. Wait, can you? Feng Wang quickly spoke up, but Zhou Shui left without looking back, quickly exiting the room. She came quickly and left just as swiftly. Feng Wang sighed. It seemed she had anticipated what he wanted to say. Zhou Xingxi closed the room door and asked cautiously, "Did she really start cultivating at the same time as you? Why didn't we notice her approach earlier?" Feng Wang thought to himself that the means of an immortal venerable were beyond Zhou Xingxi's imagination. He answered nonchalantly, "How would I know? Why don't you ask her?" Zhou Xingxi thought of Zhou Shui's methods from the previous night and immediately shook his head. Wait a minute, that Zhou Shui seems to be a demonic cultivator. Then Feng Wang. At that thought, Zhou Xingxi shuddered, not daring to look at Feng Wang. For an entire day, Feng Wang stayed in his guest room practicing his cultivation, while Zhou Xingxi did the same in his room, neither disturbing the other, yet both harbored their thoughts. Feng Wang was curious about what Zhou Shui was doing and why she would want to gouge out the eyes of the disciples of Green Cicada Valley, while Zhou Xingxi was torn with conflict. If both Feng Wang and Zhou Shui were demonic cultivators, then the Great Abyss Gate nurturing Feng Wang would be like digging its own grave. However, Feng Wang had treated him well, even imparting the body-protecting divine barrier and the great celestial thunder technique to him, causing him great anguish. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in Fang Town became increasingly tense, with more and more battles at night, and a growing number of corpses appearing during the day. Feng Wang heard the cultivators passing by the street below discussing that the victims were almost all gouged of both eyes. Could it all be Zhou Shui's doing? Why would she do such a thing? Doesn't she fear attracting the attention of the great cultivators of Green Cicada Valley? Feng Wang believed that Zhou Shui wouldn't betray him, so he could only suppress his confusion and continue his cultivation. 5 days passed quickly. On this day, before dawn, Zhou Shui came to find them, asking Feng Wang and Zhou Xingxi to follow her and leave. The three of them swiftly left the town and entered the forest. Feng Wang couldn't help but ask, "Are those corpses with gouged eyes you're doing?" He always felt that her actions weren't as simple as eradicating demons, that she must be plotting something. Yet he worried that Zhou Xingxi would inform Guang Chushan about Zhou Shui's methods. If Guang Chushan concluded that Zhou Shui was a demonic cultivator, it would be bad. Isn't exterminating evil part of what we righteous cultivators should do? Zhou Shui, walking ahead, suddenly turned her head and smiled at Feng Wang. Her smile sent a chill down Zhou Xingxi's spine. "Let me tell you, Green Cicada Valley is practicing a secret technique called the Absolute Heart Evil Eye, which requires gouging the eyes of living people to craft the evil eyes. What I have done is simply to mislead Green Cicada Valley, making them suspect their own members, thereby succumbing to internal suspicion. At the same time, I can collect spirit stones, elixirs, magic artifacts, and so on while killing demonic cultivators." Zhou Shui turned back, looking forward, and said calmly. Zhou Xingxi breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. The explanation seemed reasonable. Although he had never heard of the Absolute Heart Evil Eye, at least it was something he could report. The three of them walked through the forest, not too fast. Along the way, Zhou Shui occasionally sprinkled the flowers and plants by the roadside with powder. Fang Wang and Zhou Xingxi were puzzled but did not ask further. Until nightfall, the three of them rested in the woods, and Zhou Shui called Fang Wang aside, leaving Zhou Xingxi by the campfire. He just glanced at the two of them. Fang Wang followed Zhou Shui to a riverside a few miles away where they stood facing each other. Zhou Shui frowned and asked, "What exactly is the matter with that guy having the spring-autumn wondrous worm inside him? How come he is so obedient to you?" After thinking it over, Fang Wang decided to speak about the incident that had occurred, but he did not reveal the grade of his spirit treasure. "I see, it seems these two still have a conscience. However, the spring-autumn wondrous worm can't be controlled by just an incantation," said Zhou Shui with a strange tone. Fang Wang asked, "Can you solve it?" Zhou Shui smiled and said, "The spring-autumn wondrous worm is a GU insect of Green Cicada Valley. I have cultivated there for 50 years, of course, I can solve it. But now is not the time, to avoid alerting the enemy. Before reaching the profound heart realm, you must leave the Great Abyss Gate, at least you cannot break through while at the Great Abyss Gate. When that time comes, I will guard you personally." Hearing this, Fang Wang felt much more at ease. "Aren't you an immortal venerable? Why are you after the legacy of Jihao sect?" Fang Wang changed the subject and asked, a question that had been bothering him for a long time. Zhou Shui couldn't have come for Fang Hanyu, who had only passed a message to the Tai Yuan sect, and Zhou Shui being outside, should not be aware of his trouble. Zhou Shui glanced at Fang Wang and said, "Although I was an immortal venerable, before ascending, I did not reach the level where I could master all the unique skills in the world. You mustn't think that an immortal venerable can overlook and scrutinize everything in the mortal realm. If you think so, you're sorely mistaken. Mortals and immortals are separated by a great divide, it's hard to cross. Mortals cannot reach the upper realm, and mighty beings from the upper realm cannot descend to the mortal world. They are two different worlds, though the upper realm is stronger. Besides, I am not here for the unique skills but for the special magic artifacts, heavenly materials and earthly treasures, and top-quality spirit stones left behind by the Jihao sect. Even if I've been reborn as an immortal venerable, I still need to cultivate step by step. Gathering resources for cultivation from the mortal realm is what I need to do, and ascending is not so simple." When talking about ascending, Zhou Shui's expression became one that Fang Wang could not understand. It seemed that ascending was incredibly difficult. Even Zhou Shui, who had already successfully ascended, was not absolutely certain she could do it again. Fang Wang was not intimidated. With the heavenly palace, there was hope for everything. The cultivator who attacked the Fang residence before was named Luo Shang. Where do you guess he comes from? Zhou Shui suddenly fixed her gaze on Fang Wang, asking with cold eyes. Fang Wang furrowed his brows and asked, "Green Cicada Valley." He made this guess considering Zhou Shui's recent retaliation against Green Cicada Valley. "No, Great Abyss Gate." "What?" Fang Wang was deeply moved, and his hands clenched tightly within his sleeves. Zhou Shui said with emotion, "In my past life, after I escaped death and wandered for many years, by the time I stepped onto the path of cultivation and wanted to investigate the annihilation of the Fang residents, there were no clues to be found. Before my rebirth, I didn't even know his name. In Da Qi, besides the Fang residents, other dukes' mansions and cities were also slaughtered by mysterious II Cultivation realm cultivators. In my previous life, I only knew that it was a conspiracy between the reigning prime minister and the cultivation sects. By the time I had the power to investigate, the prime minister had long been dead, and his family did not meet good ends, so the matter was left unresolved. 3 months ago, I went to monitor a duke's mansion that was supposed to be destroyed and caught another cultivator. He revealed the truth. He and Luo Sheng were both outer sect disciples of the first lineage of Great Abyss Gate, acting on Lu Yuanjin's orders, disguised as demonic cultivators. After all, the soul-burning banner is a common ghost instrument in the cultivation world, making it easy to conceal one's identity. Lu Yuanjin, the #1 genius of the Great Abyss Gate, a mid-grade Earth origin spirit treasure. Fang Wang furrowed his brows. The vengeance for the Fang residents could not go unanswered. How could he rest when so many had perished? Zhou Shui continued, I suspect Great Abyss Gate is unaware of this affair, and behind it all may even be the Emperor of Dachi. In my past life, Lu Yuanjin had a very good relationship with the Emperor of Dachi. It was largely thanks to Lu Yuanjin's support that Dachi transformed into a cultivation dynasty. I'm telling you this to caution you against Lu Yuanjin, a person who appears kind and is always able to draw people to serve him. Fang Wang's gaze flickered as he asked, Are you certain it was him? Yes, the outer sect disciple I forced a confession from admitted that it was Lu Yuanjin who ordered them to help gather souls. Probably because Lu Yuanjin is cultivating a powerful ghost instrument. Zhou Shui nodded, her eyes also flashing with a murderous intent. Lu Yuanjin. For Fang Wang and Zhou Shui, this was a towering mountain that currently stood in their way. They couldn't just accuse Lu Yuanjin, the entire Great Abyss Gate was facilitating his rise. Fang Wang took a deep breath and said, If that's the case, then I am determined to win the status of the Great Abyss Gate's chief disciple. Zhou Shui showed a smile and said, That's right, it's good that you have such ambition. I didn't misjudge you. Until you become the chief disciple, let's pretend this incident never happened. Though Great Abyss Gate belongs to the orthodox cultivation path, not everyone there is benevolent. The fate of Zhou Xingxi is the best proof of that. For a moment, Fang Wang had even thought about seeking Guang Chushan and using his Heaven-tier Heaven Yuan spirit treasure to pressure Lu Yuanjin, but he quickly dismissed the idea as too risky. Today's Lu Yuanjin was not like him, he was the face of Great Abyss Gate. Could Guang Chushan really suppress Lu Yuanjin directly? Even if he could, it was likely only to be a punishment. Surely they couldn't kill Lu Yuanjin for the sake of some mortals, could they? Tell me, what do you want to learn? I'll teach you, but remember, you can only make one request, Zhou Shui said with her arms folded and eyebrows raised, looking at Fang Wang. Upon hearing this, Fang Wang immediately said, Heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong. Zhou Shui couldn't help but glower at him and said in annoyance, Do you really think I know everything? I didn't acquire this technique in my past life. Before ascension, I wasn't an invincible existence. There were more than a handful of people who could compete with me. Ascension also depends on opportunity. Fang Wang smiled. He was just testing the waters. Since Zhou Shui didn't know the technique, he decided to learn the art of concealing his presence instead. Upon hearing his request, Zhou Shui agreed readily. This technique was called the breathless natural skill, an auxiliary inner strength method mainly for concealing one's emotions. In the Heavenly Palace, Fang Wang only took 10 years to reach great perfection. From Zhou Shui's perspective, the moment Fang Wang finished speaking, his presence vanished instantly. If she closed her eyes and didn't use her spiritual sense, she wouldn't even be able to detect anyone in front of her. With this kid's comprehension, he'll be able to topple Lu Yuanjin sooner or later, Zhou Shui said with a relieved smile, her confidence in Fang Wang's talent long established. Fang Wang was responsible for competing for the position of chief disciple within Great Abyss Gate to seek benefits for the Fang family, while she would nurture the Fang family. For her, Great Abyss Gate was merely a stepping stone in her plan. Ellipsis. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the leaves and scattered across the grass, creating a dappled pattern of light spots. Bang! A man dressed in a green Dao robe smashed against a massive tree trunk, causing the ancient tree to tremble mightily. He fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood. Not far away, Fang Wang retracted his leg, while Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi standing behind him showed different expressions. Zhou Shui wore a satisfied and admiring smile, while Zhou Xingxi was filled with fear. Since the night 3 days ago when Fang Wang spoke with Zhou Shui, Zhou Xingxi felt that Fang Wang carried a sharp aura of killing intent, a stark contrast to who he used to be. For instance, now, II Cultivation realm cultivators at the 9th level couldn't withstand a single kick from him. Zhou Shui walked forward and squatted in front of the severely injured Green Cicada Valley disciple, starting to interrogate him. These past days, they had forced confessions from 7 Green Cicada Valley disciples and learned that this group of disciples was searching for a Tai Yuan sect disciple, who based on descriptions, could very well be Fang Hanyu. After a while, Zhou Shui broke the neck of the Green Cicada Valley disciple, plundering his storage pouch, and then gestured to Fang Wang and the others. As Fang Wang passed by the corpse, he noticed the man's eyes had been gouged out as well. He suddenly wondered if Zhou Shui was aiming to cultivate the absolute heart evil eye. Fang Wang didn't feel too opposed to the idea. The disciples of Green Cicada Valley were notorious, not just for using poisons, but also for being ruthlessly brutal, often massacring ordinary people in the countryside. According to Zhou Xingxi, the most cruel of all demonic sects were those from Green Cicada Valley. Even other demonic sect followers despised them. Leading the way, Zhou Shui wiped her hands as she said, Fang Hanyu must be hiding somewhere in the Demon Forest mountain range up ahead. The demonic qi here is thick, there could be powerful demonic beings. Be cautious. Fang Wang and his 2 companions groped their way forward, occasionally encountering disciples from Green Cicada Valley. They were even ambushed at times, but these disciples were merely in the Qi Cultivation realm and posed no threat to them. 3 more days passed, and besides Green Cicada Valley disciples, they began to encounter disciples from Wangyu Mountain. However, these disciples from Wangyu Mountain were more cautious. Upon seeing the 3 of them, they all chose to avoid them. In addition, they encountered many loose cultivators, all searching around in the forests, clearly aiming for the inheritance of Jihao sect. It was noon on this day. Fang Wang and the others arrived at a cliff from which they could overlook the endless forests ahead. They saw many cultivators and even some engaging in combat in the air. What a lively scene! This was the first time Fang Wang had seen so many cultivators and loose cultivators gather together, and that too in the deep mountains far from human habitation. The cultivators were not just flying with swords, there were all kinds of odd and ancient flying magical artifacts. Some even had spirit demons and mystic creatures as mounts. Fang Wang watched with envy and secretly decided to obtain a dominant and impressive mount for himself someday. It seems either Fang Hanyu or other disciples have had their whereabouts exposed, which has brought so many people here, Zhou Shui pondered aloud. Zhou Xingxi frowned and said, if they've been exposed and not captured, could it be that some powerful force is protecting them? Zhou Shui shook her head, also unsure. Ahead of us, there are not only those in the Qi Cultivation realm, I've already sensed many cultivators stronger than me. Do we really plan to rescue him? Zhou Xingxi continued to ask. Zhou Shui did not respond and stared ahead, lost in thought. Fang Wang, however, did not feel too much pressure. He was keen to show off his skills. As long as no cultivator beyond the soul sculpting realm appeared, he was not afraid of the number of enemies at his realm. Even if he could not defeat them, he could run. The white rainbow evasion technique at great perfection gave him the confidence to break out of the encirclement and shake off any pursuers. Just then, a strong wind blew from the east, prompting Fang Wang and the others to turn their heads. They saw a colossal beetle, as large as a small hill, flying toward them. Its wings flapped rapidly, causing gusts of wind that shook the trees along its path, creating a spectacular wave of forests. This beetle was pitch black, had 8 legs, and boasted a pair of scorpion-like pointed horns at its head, looking like a demonic insect from a hellish realm, terrifyingly grim. Behind its horns stood a red palanquin, shrouded in mystery. "It's him." Zhou Shui narrowed her eyes, muttering to herself. Upon hearing this, Fang Wang asked, "Who is he?" "Li Hongshuang, the #1 talent of Green Cicada Valley. He is an Earth origin spirit treasure, but this news hasn't spread yet," Zhou Shui quietly explained. Zhou Xingxi frowned and remarked, "I've heard of Li Hongshuang. The Li family is a millennium-old household, and he was the pride of the family from a young age. However, his decision to join Green Cicada Valley enraged the Li family. Although they officially expelled him from the family records, there are still rumors that it was all the Li family's arrangement." Fang Wang sent a mental message to Zhou Shui, asking, "What realm is Li Hongshuang in now? He should be at the 8th or 9th layer of the soul sculpting realm. It will take several more years for him to reach the spirit elixir realm. Once he does, his GU insect will evolve, making it easy to identify him. 200 years from now, he will become the #1 person in Green Cicada Valley. Another 50 years, and he will become the Green Cicada Valley Master, a giant at the forefront of the Da Qi demonic path. It's troublesome meeting a man like him," she communicated back solemnly. "That impressive?" Fang Wang raised an eyebrow, but he was not intimidated. No matter how formidable, it was a matter for the future. In this life, if he survived and had the help of the Heavenly Palace, everything in the future would change because of him. The massive GU insect of Li Hongshuang drew the attention of many cultivators, prompting the Green Cicada Valley disciples to immediately fly towards him like a rain of arrows from every direction, creating a magnificent scene. With this formation, there were at least 300 to 400 disciples from Green Cicada Valley alone, not to mention other cultivators. If their target was all Fang Hanyu, that would be troublesome. Boom! A huge rumble came from the horizon, accompanied by the trembling of the mountains. Li Hongshuang's GU insect immediately flew toward that direction. Zhou Xingxi looked at Fang Wang, silently praying that Fang Wang would not make a foolish move. "Let's go and have a look. If it's not Fang Hanyu, then we'll leave. I've already mastered the white rainbow evasion technique you taught me," Fang Wang said quietly. Zhou Shui looked at him in surprise. The white rainbow evasion technique was no simple flight technique, and it certainly wasn't something that the II Cultivation realm's natural workings or the sword control technique could compare to. Had this lad already mastered it? She knew that Fang Wang's mention of mastered was not just about being able to use it, but achieving great completion. Then let's go take a look. There are so many loose cultivators anyway, Zhou Shui decided, and the two immediately flew off on their swords. Zhou Xingxi clenched his teeth and had no choice but to stiffly follow them. These two are madmen. Ellipsis. In the forest, a black panther was fleeing quickly with a person on its back, Fang Hanyu. He clung tightly to the panther's neck, his eyes still wrapped with cloth. The vigorous running motion caused his eye sockets to bleed. On the branches nearby, a figure in green hopped rapidly from tree to tree, matching the panther's speed. It was the same green-cloaked girl who saved Fang Hanyu. She wore a fox mask, moving like a specter. "Leave me behind, so as not to implicate you," Fang Hanyu gritted his teeth and spoke, having realized that he was being protected by the green-cloaked girl and her clan members, despite not being able to see. "You think I don't want to? But ever since those people came to our clan lands, they started killing mercilessly. Many of my friends were skinned and dismembered. It's not just you I have saved. My sister saved another Tai Yuan sect disciple before, and then surrendered him. As a result, my sister was executed on the spot, damn them. One day, I must destroy Green Cicada Valley, Wangyu Mountain. Since we are bound to die, you might as well live to seek help from Tai Yuan sect, a righteous sect that should not swallow this insult. The green-cloaked girl replied quickly, and her words plunged Fang Hanyu's heart into the abyss. He wondered how many of his adventuring fellow brothers and sisters had survived. If they fell into the hands of the demonic path, even living was worse than death. Fang Hanyu harbored deep hatred but had to suppress it. At the moment, he had neither the strength to fight nor even to stand. Boom. A deafening roar came from ahead, followed by a fierce wind that caught Fang Hanyu off guard. He was swept away and crashed into a tree trunk with a thud, nearly losing consciousness from the intense pain in his waist. The girl in green landed and slid backward uncontrollably. She looked up to see a ravine that had appeared in the forest ahead, with trees toppled to either side and dust filling the air. A black giant insect with a ferocious appearance hovered in the air, a red sedan chair on its back, its curtains fluttering like blazing flames. Behind the giant insect, a large group of Green Cicada Valley disciples were rushing over. A middle-aged man landed in front of the red sedan and said, "Brother, there's a severely injured cultivator up ahead, his eyes have been gouged out. He is likely the Tai Yuan sect disciple who escaped from us." A lazy voice came from inside the red sedan, "Bring him here for questioning. There's also a spirit demon nearby. Kill it." Understood. The middle-aged man immediately turned and gestured to the Green Cicada Valley disciples behind him. Instantly, 12 disciples flew towards the girl in green and Fang Hanyu on their swords. The Black Panther that had been carrying Fang Hanyu was trapped under a tree that had been cut off at the waist, whining and unable to move. The girl in green tried to carry Fang Hanyu on her back when the sound of air being sliced through was heard. A long sword blocked her path, startling her into jumping backward. Seeing this, the girl in green could only flee in another direction, disappearing into the depths of the forest within a few steps. The man standing atop the giant insect once again gestured, and 9 Green Cicada Valley disciples immediately gave chase to the girl in green. Fang Hanyu lay in front of the tree, his body aching as if it were about to fall apart. The cloth in front of his eyes was soaked red with blood, even dripping, presenting a truly pitiful sight. He heard footsteps, understanding that his enemies were approaching him. "I remember this guy. He took the opportunity to throw himself off the cliff when we were unprepared. When we tried to find him again, he was nowhere to be seen." "Oh, is he the Tai Yuan sect disciple who escaped from your grasp?" "Yes, he's got some guts, arms and legs broken, eyes gouged out live, and still, he did not beg for mercy, showing much more backbone than his brothers and sisters. Tisk tisk, look at him, he's like an insect about to be squashed." As he listened to the laughter of the Green Cicada Valley disciples, Fang Hanyu's fingers dug into the soil, hatred filling his heart. Just then, a white rainbow streaked out from the forest at high speed. Whoosh, 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 a series of piercing sounds erupted, one after another. Fang Hanyu faintly sensed the fierce sword chi. As a swordsman himself, he was highly sensitive to it. Before he could think further, he heard the sound of bodies hitting the ground, and the taunting of the Green Cicada Valley disciples abruptly stopped. What's going on? Fang Hanyu was extremely nervous, his body trembling instinctively. In front of him stood a figure, tall and direct in the sunlight, clad in white, surrounded by corpses. It was Fang Wang. Fang Wang's back was to Fang Hanyu as he held the superior grade spiritual weapon, the Qingjun sword, with a cold look in his eyes beneath the bamboo hat, staring at the giant insect hovering over the forest. "Who are you?" the middle-aged man beside the red sedan atop the insect asked harshly, his eyes full of fear. Fang Wang was too fast. He didn't even see how Fang Wang made his move, and all 12 disciples were dead. Upon hearing this, Fang Hanyu realized that someone was there to rescue him. He gritted his teeth and said, "Whoever you are, don't save me. I'm already a cripple. Instead of being a burden to me, just run away." He thought it might be the girl in green or someone from her clan. He did not want to involve innocent people any longer. "A burden? This is already the second time I'm saving you. If you're crippled, find a way to recover. I'll be waiting for you to repay the favor of saving your life." A familiar voice came from ahead, causing Fang Hanyu to suddenly look up. "Fang Wang." Fang Hanyu's tone was full of disbelief. He couldn't believe that Fang Wang would appear at this moment. "Tisk tisk, you're seriously injured, even your eyes have been gouged out." A mocking laugh sounded. Upon hearing it, Fang Hanyu didn't get angry. His body trembled violently, and for the first time, he felt aggrieved because his family had come. Zhou Shui had also arrived. He felt no grievance being tortured by the disciples of Green Cicada Valley, nor fear when being treated by the girl in green, but facing the arrival of his 2 relatives, he could no longer control his emotions. Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi emerged from the forest nearby. Seeing the extent of Fang Hanyu's injuries, Zhou Xingxi was deeply chilled. "Li Hongshuang, some believe you could be the next Green Cicada Valley master, but my sword does not agree." Fang Wang called out loudly, his words causing Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi to look at him in surprise. Having said this, Fang Wang communicated with Zhou Shui, telling her to take Fang Hanyu and leave quickly. Zhou Shui indeed was the reincarnation of the immortal venerable, but Fang Wang did not believe that she was necessarily stronger than himself. Moreover, he was not skilled in medicine, so entrusting the task of carrying Fang Hanyu to Zhou Shui was a better option. Hearing Fang Wang's words, Zhou Shui immediately said to Zhou Xingxi, "Carry him on your back, I'll protect you guys, let's go." But Zhou Xingxi hesitated. His objective was to protect Fang Wang. He didn't care about Fang Hanyu. "Don't worry, he's very strong. Seize the time, don't hold him back," Zhou Shui said sternly, her tone somewhat impatient. Pressed by her, Zhou Xingxi had no choice but to lift Fang Hanyu onto his back, and the two dashed into the woods, quickly disappearing from view. The middle-aged man standing beside the red palanquin immediately waved his hand, and instantly more than a dozen Green Cicada Valley disciples chased after Zhou Shui and the other. Fang Wang raised his left hand in front of him, his index and middle fingers together. In an instant, 3 sword shapes condensed around him and immediately lunged at the batch of Green Cicada Valley disciples. The sword chi tore through the air with extreme speed. The faces of those Green Cicada Valley disciples changed drastically. Those above the 7th level of the II Cultivation realm scattered to avoid the attack, whereas those below the 7th level were pierced straight through the throat by the sword chi, their blood spilling across the sky. The remaining disciples attempted to evade, but their speed was no match for the Jinghong divine sword art. In less than 3 breaths' time, more than a dozen II Cultivation realm Green Cicada Valley disciples lay dead, their bodies plummeting to the ground. Fang Wang's gaze remained fixed on the red palanquin above the Gu insect. He scoffed inwardly, the demonic path is truly the demonic path, watching their fellows die horrific deaths, they still sit unmoved. The middle-aged man glared at Fang Wang, furious to the extreme. The disciples from Green Cicada Valley behind him spread out, surrounding Fang Wang completely, each taking out their own magic artifacts or Gu insects. Encircled by hundreds of Green Cicada Valley disciples, Fang Wang was not at all flustered. His task was to delay the enemy as much as possible. Finally, the curtain of the red palanquin was lifted, and a sinisterly handsome man in black brocade stepped out. His complexion was handsome, his lips a deep purple, even the bags under his eyes were deep purple, exuding a faint poison chi between his brows. His long hair rested atop his head, secured by a diadem made from the carcass of a poisonous scorpion, striking terror in those who beheld it. Li Hongshuang, the #1 genius of Green Cicada Valley, had a reputation that preceded him even before he joined the valley. His aura was distinctly different from the other Green Cicada Valley disciples. At first glance, Fang Wang almost mistook him for an elder of Green Cicada Valley. Li Hongshuang looked down at Fang Wang, then at the three sword shapes that returned to hover behind Fang Wang, standing suspended. He asked, "The Jinghong Divine Sword Art? What is your relationship with Yang Yuanzi?" Fang Wang, wearing the bamboo hat, looked up, the shadow of the hat making his face appear exceptionally cold. The grievous state of Fang Hanyu had his desire to kill continuously rising. Is Yang Yuanzi the only person in the world who knows the Jinghong Divine Sword Art? Fang Wang countered. If not for the need to buy time for Zhou Shui and the others, he would have already made his move. Li Hongshuang lifted his right hand, a blood-red banner flew out from above his head, quickly enlarging before landing back in his hand, taller than his entire body. On the blood-red banner, an image of a malevolent spirit was depicted, hideous and terrifying, almost as if alive, writhing fiercely as. The banner fluttered. Life Spirit Treasure. Since you refuse to talk, I'll force you to speak. Li Hongshuang spoke coldly. As he spoke, he kicked the middle-aged man next to him away. Without needing his command, the GU insect instantly pounced towards Fang Wang. During the surprise attack, Li Hongshuang quickly waved the blood-red banner, billowing blood mist spread out, like long dragons going for Fang Wang. Fang Wang's eyes sharpened, his spiritual power erupted, forming multiple sword shapes around him. The Jinghong Divine Sword Art, 12 swords. He leapt into the air, stepped on his flying sword, and met the GU insect in battle. The 12 sword shapes moved at an even faster speed, drawing different trajectories in the sky to scatter those blood mist dragons head-on. Li Hongshuang's lips curled into a smile as he leapt up, his left hand raised high before he slammed it down, his spiritual power coalescing into a huge black palm that bore down upon Fang Wang. Fang Wang violently threw out his Qingjun sword, which turned into a streak of azure light and sped away, as fast as lightning, shattering the giant black palm. Li Hongshuang instinctively twisted his body, avoiding the Qingjun sword, but a lock of his sideburns was sheared off. Superior grade spiritual weapon. Li Hongshuang's eyes flashed with fierce intensity. He was not deterred, instead charging toward Fang Wang. Within the blink of an eye, the two collided, Fang Wang using his fingers as swords, manipulating the 12 sword shapes to launch a frenzied attack on Li Hongshuang. Li Hongshuang waved the blood-red banner swiftly, defending against the 12 sword shapes while also mounting an offensive. Such a malicious poison chi. Fang Wang noticed that his 12 sword shapes, after being tainted with poison mist, began to shrink. This poison could corrode spiritual power. Li Hongshuang's attacks were fierce. In terms of hand speed alone, he was the strongest opponent Fang Wang had ever encountered. A sweep of the blood-red banner, and his left palm followed through from underneath it to strike at Fang Wang's chest. Clang! Li Hongshuang was sent flying back, Fang Wang was also pushed back. Judging by the distance each had retreated, it was hard to tell who was superior. What cultivation technique is this? Li Hongshuang frowned, his left hand trembling slightly. He immediately clenched his fist, forcibly suppressing it. Following his gaze, Fang Wang was surrounded by a layer of visible qi that caused the surrounding space to vibrate. What domineering spiritual power! Fang Wang inwardly marveled, but was even more excited. Indeed, this was Green Cicada Valley's future Valley Master. After an exchange of blows, he got a rough measure of Li Hongshuang's strength. His desire to kill surged uncontrollably, erupting from his eyes. Fang Wang's right hand pointed upwards, and the number of sword shapes behind him began to increase. 16 swords, 18 swords, 22 swords. Li Hongshuang was shaken, waves of shock crashing through his heart. He knew quite a bit about the Jinghong divine sword art, and knew that Yang Yuanzi had not surpassed 15 swords at the soul sculpting realm. He did not panic, but immediately waved his sleeve, and countless poisonous insects flew out from within, swarming densely to form a suffocating canopy of shadows in the sky above the woods. Fang Wang gathered 27 swords in one breath, each sword circling around his body, making his robe flap violently, as if it might shatter at any moment. The more sword formations that were formed with the Jinghong divine sword art, it wasn't just about having a greater number, but also the strength of each sword continually increasing. The appearance of 27 swords brought Fang Wang's sword momentum to a terrifying level. Even the disciples of Green Cicada Valley who were watching the battle were uneasy, with some even retreating. Fang Wang's gaze was fixed on Li Hongshuang as he coldly said, "If this is all you're capable of, then you have no future." Upon hearing this, Li Hongshuang flew into a rage. He immediately raised the blood-colored flag high above, and amidst the dark clouds formed by countless poisonous insects, blood-colored lightning emerged, one bolt after another, with imposing thunderous might. A formation, ellipsis. In the woods, Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi were rapidly weaving through, passing by the bodies of beasts and cultivators, a truly harrowing sight. Boom! As thunderous roars resounded from behind, Zhou Xingxi couldn't help but ask with concern, can he really escape? That was Li Hongshuang. Even though Fang Wang was a Heaven Yuan spirit treasure, Li Hongshuang, after all, was an Earth origin spirit treasure, and there was a significant gap between their cultivation levels. How could someone from the 3rd level of the soul sculpting realm stand a chance against someone from the 9th level, especially when the opponent was the number 1 talent from a demonic sect? Zhou Shui, keeping her eyes forward and not looking back, said, "Don't underestimate him, this kid always has a card up his sleeve. Are you sure you know his full strength? Even if he can't defeat Li Hongshuang, escaping with his life is hardly difficult for him." Upon hearing this, Zhou Xingxi felt somewhat reassured. Yes, he didn't know the full extent of Fang Wang's strength. Fang Hanyu, who was lying on Zhou Xingxi's back, had been silent, but he was also sweating bullets for Fang Wang in his heart. Ellipsis. Boom, boom, boom. Thunderbolts rained down one after another, devastating the woods. The disciples of Green Cicada Valley screamed as they were struck, their bodies blackened and charred. From the original group of 300 or 400 disciples, only a third remained. They all hid far away, watching the battlefield with fear, as Li Hongshuang's giant insect pressed down on the forest, emitting wafts of smoke, the blood mist that permeated the air adding a suffocating atmosphere to the battlefield. This thunder was not from Li Hongshuang's formation. With her hairpin fallen and her hair disheveled, Li Hongshuang bit her teeth with a fierce gaze on Fang Wang and coldly uttered, "The great celestial thunder technique, who on earth are you? Could it be that you are Lu Yuanjun?" Fang Wang, holding the Qingjun sword high, pointed its tip toward the center of the thunderclouds above, with 27 swords revolving around him. In this moment, his presence reached its peak, unparalleled. Fang Wang snorted, "What is Lu Yuanjun compared to me?" Suddenly, he retracted his sword and turned into a white rainbow as he rushed toward Li Hongshuang. The white rainbow evasion technique wasn't necessarily only for fleeing. Li Hongshuang, enraged, held the blood-colored flag in his left hand and a long sword in his right, charging to meet Feng Wang head-on. Under the watchful eyes of all, he could not allow himself to fail. Clang! Their swords collided, sparking flames, and as their eyes met, lethal intent surged in both. Almost instantly, they struck at the same time, their magic artifacts moving so fast they created afterimages. The 27 swords of the Jinghong Divine Sword Art followed Feng Wang's lead, attacking Li Hongshuang from all directions. Li Hongshuang fought with wide swings, the blood-colored flag whirling, fending off the 27 swords, and his long sword unleashed a set of fierce sword techniques, facing Feng Wang single-handedly. The rolling blood mist spread, and the figures of the two intertwined, battling from the sky to the ground, their footsteps scraping the earth and sending stones and sand flying. The sight chilled the remaining disciples of the Green Cicada Valley. How is this possible? Brother Li can't take him down. Who is this person after all? He must be from the Great Abyss Gate, otherwise why would he save the Tai Yuan sect disciple? I didn't expect there to be such a formidable person in the Great Abyss Gate. Did you hear what Brother Li said earlier? The Great Celestial Thunder Technique, the Jinghong Divine Sword Art, these are the supreme techniques of the Great Abyss Gate. Mastering one and bringing it to great completion, one could dominate Dachi. It's surprising that there's a disciple who has mastered two such arts. Could this person possibly be the elite disciple of a single lineage within the Great Abyss Gate? Feng Wang and Li Hongshuang no longer cared to listen to the disciples' discussions. In their hearts, there was only one thing: to kill each other. Feng Wang was seeking vengeance for Feng Hanyu, and Li Hongshuang was fighting for his pride. Li Hongshuang swung his sword fiercely, his poison-laced sword qi bombarded Feng Wang like a storm. Feng Wang used the shadowless step to quickly dodge. His gaze sharpened, and behind him, sword shapes began to coalesce once again. 5 swords appeared at once. 32 swords. Li Hongshuang's pupils shrank with horror. Before he could speak, the speed of the 32 sword shapes surrounding Feng Wang suddenly increased, their might even greater. The 32 swords attacked Li Hongshuang relentlessly. He barely managed to defend with the 2 magic artifacts, but in less than 3 breaths' time, he was wounded and increasingly overwhelmed. Feng Wang hurled the Qingjun sword, cutting through the swirling dust, advancing straight towards Li Hongshuang. Even as he was caught off guard by the 32 swords, Li Hongshuang was still quick to react. His body leaned back to dodge the Qingjun sword. Just as he was regaining his stance, the 32 swords simultaneously attacked from all directions. Clang! Li Hongshuang's sword crashed to the ground, and the 32 sword shapes pierced into his body, blood spurting wildly. Even from his mouth gushed forth copious amounts of venomous blood, unstoppable. He glared at Feng Wang with bloodshot eyes, his lips trembling. Jinghong, 32 swords, who exactly are you? Sputter. All of a sudden, the Qingjun sword came from behind, decapitating him, his head rolling to the ground, coming to a stop against Feng Wang's right foot, eyes still wide open in anger. The mountains undulated, the breeze swayed the forest, creating gentle green ripples. By a mountain brook, Feng Hanyu leaned against a large rock, with Zhou Shui tending to his wounds, and Zhou Xingxi stood nearby, vigilantly watching the surroundings. 2 hours have passed, why hasn't he caught up yet? Could something have happened? Zhou Xingxi couldn't help but look back and ask, as his life was linked to Feng Wang's. His greatest fear was something happening to Feng Wang. While dressing Feng Hanyu's wounds, Zhou Shui calmly said, "Don't worry, he's not dead." "How can you be so sure?" "I have my ways of being sure, just as I was certain this young man wasn't dead before." Zhou Xingxi was stunned by her answer. On reflection, Zhou Shui had been sure that Feng Hanyu was alive even before they found him. Could it be that this woman had meddled with Feng Wang and Feng Hanyu somehow? Although Fang Wang was stronger in Zhou Xingxi's eyes, he found Zhou Shui to be more dangerous and inscrutable. After a while, Zhou Shui stood up, looked down at Fang Hanyu, and said, "Your body is ruined, but I can help you undergo nirvana and be reborn, even stronger than before. However, the process will be excruciatingly painful. Are you willing to endure that?" At her words, Fang Hanyu immediately looked up, clenched his teeth, and said, "I'm willing. I don't want to be a cripple for the rest of my life. I'm not afraid of any amount of pain." Once Fang Wang returns, I'll take you to a place where you can be healed, Zhou Shui said. After she finished speaking, she walked over to the stream, crouched down, and began to wash her hands. Zhou Xingxi secretly wondered how Fang Hanyu, injured as he was, could be reborn through nirvana. His curiosity about Zhou Shui's origins only grew. It was clear that even before joining Great Abyss Gate, Zhou Shui had a deep background in cultivation. Afterward, the three of them waited by the brook for Fang Wang's return. About half an hour later, they finally heard the sound of something slicing through the air. Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi immediately turned their heads to look. Soon after, both let out a sigh of relief and smiled. The one who approached was Fang Wang. Fang Wang arrived on a flying sword, carrying the Qingjun sword with blood on its blade. Not only that, his white garment was now soaked in blood, and he was adorned with blood-stained pouches, all storage bags. His appearance was extraordinarily grim, but Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi were not worried, knowing that as long as he could still control his flying sword, he wouldn't die. As Fang Wang landed, the flying sword retreated into his storage bag. Zhou Xingxi quickly came forward, asking with concern, "Are you all right?" For some reason, Fang Wang felt awkward. Shouldn't Zhou Shui have been the first to show concern for him? Why was it a man who came to care for him first? "No problem, I'm not injured. But my spiritual power is nearly depleted," Fang Wang replied. Even the great perfection level of the Solaris scripture was running low after more than 2 hours of intense fighting, especially since all his opponents were cultivators. Zhou Xingxi nodded and then stepped aside. Zhou Shui came over to examine his body and asked with a smile, "How strong is Li Hongshuang? Fighting her should have broadened your horizons." Seeing Fang Wang return unharmed filled her with pride, for she had taught him cultivation techniques, and in her heart, she had already come to consider Fang Wang her disciple. To survive an encounter with the top talent of Green Cicada Valley within less than a year of cultivation was indeed a mighty feat. "Very strong, it definitely broadened my horizons," Fang Wang nodded in agreement. Zhou Xingxi was silently astounded. As a member of a noble family, he knew more about Li Hongshuang. She was not their peer, and despite Li Hongshuang's longer period of cultivation and monstrous talent, she was unable to defeat Fang Wang, which increased Zhou Xingxi's respect for him. After examining him and making sure he wasn't poisoned, Zhou Shui finally felt reassured. "By the way, is there a way to preserve a head so it doesn't rot? I'm planning to take it back to Great Abyss Gate to increase my contribution points," Fang Wang suddenly asked, then took a cloth wrap from behind his back. With a frown, Zhou Shui said, "At a life or death moment, you still care about these things. Aren't you afraid Li Hongshuang will catch up to you?" "Not afraid. Apart from Li Hongshuang, there's no one of note among the Green Cicada Valley disciples in the area. They're all Li Hongshuang's lackeys. It seems Green Cicada Valley is intentionally cultivating Li Hongshuang's power. The lackeys' heads are worthless, just throw them away." Zhou Shui dismissed the matter with a wave of her hand, realizing then that Fang Wang was only 17 after all. And still somewhat naive. "Coincidentally, it's the head of Li Hongshuang," Fang Wang said, raising an eyebrow and maintaining a calm expression, though he felt elated inside. "What?" Zhou Shui was stunned, and Zhou Xingxi also turned his head to look at Fang Wang, eyes widening. With a flick of Fang Wang's right hand, Li Hongshuang's head fell, landing perfectly with the neck on the ground, her eyes wide open in death, an unnerving sight. It really is Li Hongshuang, you. Once Zhou Shui clearly saw Li Hongshuang's face, she looked up at Fang Wang, her eyes revealing her shock. Zhou Xingxi wore a face as if he'd seen a ghost. How could Li Hongshuang, leading hundreds of Green Cicada Valley disciples, be beheaded by Fang Wang on his own? How is that possible? Even after seeing Li Hongshuang's true face, Zhou Xingxi still found it incredible. During your fight with him, what was his strength like? Did he use his life spirit treasure, which is a big flag? Zhou Shui furrowed her brows as she asked. Fang Wang rolled his eyes, replying exasperatedly, of course, did you think I killed some counterfeit? It wasn't easy to kill him, I fought with nearly all my might. Zhou Shui took a deep breath and said nothing further. She squatted down, took a medicinal bottle from her storage bag, and sprinkled the powder over Li Hongshuang's head. Fang Wang turned his head towards Fang Hanyu, who was not far away, and asked, Hanyu, I avenged you. I've killed at least 300 members of the Green Cicada Valley along the way. How is that, brother, am I not loyal? Fang Hanyu didn't know what to say. He had already realized how strong Li Hongshuang was, and now, hearing that such a powerful figure had been slain by Fang Wang, he felt that expressing gratitude seemed pretentious and giving praise seemed lackluster. All he could do was nod slightly. Fang Wang looked at Zhou Shui, Zhou Xingxi, and Fang Hanyu, who had all gone quiet, and couldn't help but curl his lip. The reaction isn't big enough, is it? Shouldn't they be exclaiming, declaring how terrifying it was? Right, before I left, I burned Li Hongshuang's corpse. He won't come back to life, will he? After all, cultivators can possess bodies. I'm worried about techniques similar to reanimation. Fang Wang saw Zhou Shui stand up and immediately asked. While speaking, he squatted down to rewrap his spoils of war. Zhou Shui responded, as long as you have his head here, and if his body was truly burned clean, then he certainly cannot be reborn. Solaris true fire of the Solaris scripture. Zhou Shui was filled with emotion. Being entangled in Solaris true fire would surely leave nothing but ashes. Who could have imagined that the future master of Green Cicada Valley would perish just like that? She suddenly felt that Fang Wang's existence was going to massively alter the future, and together with the fact that she had reincarnated, it was certain that the future would be shaped by them. Afterward, Fang Wang bathed in the river. After changing into clean clothes, they continued on their way. Zhou Shui said she would take them to a place where great opportunities lay, and they could also heal Fang Hanyu there. On the subsequent journey, the atmosphere was rather peculiar. Zhou Shui and Zhou Xingxi frequently glanced at Fang Wang but didn't speak, making him somewhat uncomfortable. Little did he know that despite the apparent calmness of the two, a storm of shock and awe had not subsided in their hearts. Zhou Shui inwardly marveled at how her own rebirth had caused an extraordinary and previously unheralded individual to emerge in this life. Zhou Xingxi, meanwhile, was simply dumbfounded. They had attained the spiritual refinement on the same day. How could there be such a huge gap between them? Ellipsis. In an inn, Ji Li sat drinking tea with 3 fellow disciples, with every table on the first floor occupied. There are really a lot of people. The legacy of the Jihao sect has spread far and wide, which is good. The more people there are, the easier it is for us to carry out our rescue mission, Zhou Bo commented. They were all disciples from the 3rd lineage, formed into teams for this expedition. Ji Li, who had been turned down by Fang Wang, still worried, so she followed the team led by Zhou Bo. She wore a bamboo hat and a yellow shirt, appearing very much like a female warrior of the martial world, and with her head slightly bowed, no one could see her face. Just then, a man in plain clothes hurried into the inn, shouting, "Disaster! Disaster!" Li Hongshuang, the direct disciple of Green Cicada Valley and the most talented among their current disciples, has been killed by a disciple of the Great Abyss Gate. At these words, the entire inn erupted into noise. The diners here were not ordinary people. They were all cultivators, mostly loose cultivators, or perhaps disciples of the 9 great sects in disguise. That Li Hongshuang was at the 9th layer of the soul sculpting realm. Many direct disciples of the Great Abyss Gate might not be his match, and killing him is practically a declaration of war against Green Cicada Valley. Li Hongshuang is dead. This is a big deal. Tisk tisk. Li Hongshuang doesn't only have the backing of Green Cicada Valley, there's also the Li family. 1,000 years ago, it was their Li family who established the dynasty on this land. HMPH, dead is dead, just a demonic cultivator. The loose cultivators in the inn buzzed with discussion, and then someone asked the man who had brought the news, "Hey lad, who exactly killed Li Hongshuang, do you have more information?" It turned out the man who reported the news was the inn server. He stood with hands on hips, hee laughing, "I do have more. It's said that the disciple of the Tai Yuan sect who killed Li Hongshuang used the Jinghong divine sword art. Do you know the origins of the Jinghong divine sword art?" Upon hearing this, someone stood up and said, "I know. It's the ultimate technique of Yang Yuanzi, the peak master of the 3rd lineage of the Tai Yuan sect. 100 years ago, he forced his way into Green Cicada Valley with this sword technique and emerged unscathed. Could it be that Yang Yuanzi himself took action? The Jinghong divine sword art is uniquely mastered by Yang Yuanzi, and I haven't heard of any Tai Yuan sect disciples who have mastered this sword art." Half right, half wrong. The person who killed Li Hongshuang indeed used the Jinghong divine sword art, but he was very young, definitely not Yang Yuanzi. According to the surviving disciples of Green Cicada Valley, that man wore white and executed the sword art to the 32nd move, definitely a yet unrecognized genius of the Tai Yuan sect. Now, those disciples of Green Cicada Valley call him the White Garment Astonishing Swan, and the valley has dispatched Spirit Elixir Realm great cultivators to search for the whereabouts of this White Garment Astonishing Swan, the server said, shaking his head, his words causing the cultivators in the inn to discuss heatedly again. Zhou Bo turned back, whispering, "White Garment Astonishing Swan. Who in the 3rd lineage got this legacy?" He had belonged to the 3rd lineage for over 10 years and had never heard of anyone receiving the true inheritance of Yang Yuanzi, not even the big disciple Li Yu. The 2 3rd lineage disciples shook their heads, and although Ji Yu Li remained silent, for some reason, she couldn't help but think of a certain person. Could it be him? No way. He has only been refining spirits for how long? In the dense forest, Fang Wang carried Fang Hanyu on his back, with Zhou Shui leading the way. As for Zhou Xingxi, Zhou Shui had already sent him back to the Great Abyss Gate. Before leaving, Zhou Shui had spoken to Zhou Xingxi alone. After their conversation, Fang Wang noticed that Zhou Xingxi had become anxious and even left without giving him an additional glance. "Come out, you've been following us for quite a while." Zhou Shui suddenly stopped in her tracks and called out. Fang Wang wasn't surprised. He had sensed a presence following them several hours earlier, but since it was very faint, he didn't concern himself with it. After a few moments, a large tree behind them trembled, and a green figure dropped down. It was a young girl in green clothes wearing a fox mask. Upon landing, she said, "I mean no harm. You are heading towards the land of my clan, and I wanted to persuade you against it, but I was afraid you were just passing by." Upon hearing this, Fang Hanyu raised his head and said with surprise, "Miss Green, you're still alive." The girl in green clothes snorted, "Of course I'm alive, but my clan has suffered heavy losses, and now everyone is fleeing in all directions. I got separated from them and ran towards our clan territory, only to encounter you on the way." Zhou Shui turned around, examining the girl in green with interest, and said with admiration, "The Mountain God clan, I wondered what spirit saved Fang Hanyu, it turns out it was you." The world today is murky, and cultivators hardly acknowledge the existence of mountain gods. Upon hearing this, the girl in green immediately stepped forward eagerly and asked, "Sister, you know about our mountain god clan?" The earth is vast with countless mountains. Since ancient times, there have been mountain gods in deep mountain ranges. Although they share the same origin as spirits and demons, they have their own heritage and have transformed earlier than spirit beasts. The mountain god clan is compassionate, taking the protection of their territories as their duty. As humans began their path of cultivation and failed to find traces of immortal gods, they gradually lost their reverence for the deities of nature. Despite the historical renown of the mountain god clan, in the eyes of cultivators, they are no different from spirits and demons. Your physical bodies are considered precious medicine to cultivators. Zhou Shui answered softly, the explanation intended for Fang Wang and Fang Hanyu. After listening, Fang Hanyu couldn't help but turn his head towards the girl in green and asked, "Are you a demon?" "What? You have a prejudice against demons? Your friends and clan members from before?" "Yes, they were all demons. The little yellow bird that woke you up every day was a bird demon, and it's dead now." The girl in green's response left Fang Hanyu silent. Such heavy words came from the girl in green's mouth as if she were making a joke, but Fang Wang could feel her restraint. "Since you are of the mountain god clan and you have saved Fang Hanyu, you should follow us for now. The place we are going to is just passing through your clan land, not your clan land itself. However, in the future, that place could become a refuge for your clan. After all, in the years to come, the various demonic sects will still be frantically slaughtering the mountain god clan everywhere." Zhou Shui spoke again, extending an invitation. The girl in green nodded, and seeing this, Zhou Shui didn't say more, continuing to lead the way. Fang Wang, still carrying Fang Hanyu, asked through a mental message, "When I slew Li Hongshuang, some cultivators from the Green Cicada Valley escaped. Will they cause trouble for the Fang residents?" The massacre of the mountain god clan renewed his concern for the Fang family. Zhou Shui responded through a mental message, "As long as you didn't reveal your family name, even if the Green Cicada Valley can trace it, it will take time. Green Cicada Valley wouldn't retaliate against a family for a single disciple, but Li Hongshuang's Li family will. You don't have to worry, I have my methods." Assured by Zhou Shui's strategy, Fang Wang stopped worrying. They continued their journey, encountering numerous spirits and demons along the way. The group grew larger as these creatures dared to approach thanks to the girl in green. 2 more days passed. They arrived in front of a majestic mountain so tall that its summit could not be seen and towering clouds enshrouded it, spanning across tens of miles. The surrounding mountain terrain was steep and continuous, with sparse trees revealing a vast emptiness. Behind Zhou Shui and the others followed a vast array of wild beasts, numbering over 100. The largest among them was a wild boar with shoulder height of 2 zhong, tusks 1 zhong long, and black fur billowing like flames, looking terrifying, yet it hadn't reached the level of a spirit demon. Zhou Shui walked straight to a part of the mountainside, touched it, and promptly seemed to trigger some mechanism. The mountainside trembled, revealing a crack. Dust billowed as a mountain gate pushed open, unveiling a massive entrance 5 zhong high. This mountain gate, appearing minuscule on the mountainside, seemed like a skyscraper before Fang Wang and the others. Fang Wang couldn't help but ask, "What is this place?" Zhou Shui replied without turning back, 1,500 years ago, a great cultivator from Jihao sect secretly built this immense cave heavens here, wishing to provide refuge for his own family from blood feuds. Afterwards, it has remained undiscovered. Perhaps he died before he could even inform his family of this place. From now on, the Fang family will cultivate here, rallying the Mountain God clan. I hereby name this cave heavens the Fang realm. Fang Wang suddenly understood. He had been wondering if Zhou Shui was truly so kind as to take in the Mountain God clan. It was all for the Fang residents. Afterward, they entered the massive cave entrance. The girl in green and the beasts curiously observed the tunnel along the way, lined with various shining crystals. After about 100 meters, a bright light appeared ahead. As Fang Wang stepped into the bright light, he reopened his eyes to the sun shining on his face, and the sight before him was moving. Blue skies and white clouds hovered above, the sun hung high, and lush grass surrounded a large lake, with tall mountains on all sides. It was truly a heavenly realm far from the mundane world. This is a formation within the Fang realm that makes you feel as if you're in another world. In fact, this small realm has boundaries, it's not as vast as it appears. Rest here, and do not venture out, especially in the upcoming month. As for the Mountain God clan, rest assured, you won't be exterminated. You can search for your kin once the demonic sects retreat. Zhou Shui turned and said to the beasts, her gaze mostly on the girl in green. The girl in green nodded. After enduring so much combat, she wasn't about to be reckless. Fang Wang asked, "Will Green Cicada Valley leave in a month?" "Yes, the inheritance of Jihao sect will be disseminated in a different direction, attracting various branches of the demonic path to scramble for it, sparking bloodshed and carnage that will last for years." "What about the heavenly gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong?" "Not that, but it's still a remarkable cultivation technique. At the very least, it will allow Green Cicada Valley to temporarily set aside Li Hongshuang's death." As the two chatted, they walked toward the nearby mountainside. Fang Wang set Fang Hanyu down, then took off all the storage bags from his waist, and said, "Check these when you have time, all this stuff is for you, to help the Fang residents step onto the cultivation path." Zhou Shui didn't stand on ceremony, she nodded, and then took out a small cauldron from the storage bag. Following that, she began throwing eyeballs into the cauldron. "That's right, eyeballs." Fang Wang felt uncomfortable at the sight and immediately walked away. He went to the lakeside and began to meditate and gather qi. The girl in the green dress dispersed with the mystical beasts, each finding a place to rest. They were tired, having been in constant fear over the past few days, and now they just wanted to sleep well. Not until night had fallen did Fang Hanyu suddenly emit a piercing, tragic scream that echoed through the night sky. Fang Wang glanced back, then redirected his gaze and continued to cultivate. Ellipsis. A month passed quickly. Fang Hanyu was now able to meditate and gather qi, but his eyes were still covered by a white cloth, unable to withstand light. Inside the cave tunnel, after Zhou Shui and Fang Wang had figured out the various mechanisms, she spoke, "I need to leave now. Once Fang Hanyu's eyes have successfully condensed, you can return to the Great Abyss Gate." Fang Wang was mentally prepared for this and then asked, "You're considering letting the girl in green go find her people? Shall we let her go out?" "Let her go. She grew up in the mountains and forests, she shouldn't run into any trouble. According to the timing, that cultivation technique should already be spreading, and Green Cicada Valley's attention will be drawn away. In short, once Fang Hanyu's eyes are better, you can head back to the Great Abyss Gate on your own, there's no need to wait for me." Zhou Shui nodded, she gave a few more warnings, and eventually left under Fang Wang's urging. Watching Zhou Shui's retreating figure flying away on her sword, Fang Wang stood at the entrance of the cave for a long while before he closed the mountain gate and returned to the lakeside of Fang Realm to continue his cultivation. The battle with Li Hongshuang made Fang Wang feel that his spiritual power was insufficient. Merely executing Li Hongshuang had drained him of a lot of spiritual power, and he had to elevate his cultivation realm, reaching the 9th layer of the soul sculpting realm as soon as possible. Fang Realm was peaceful, and the mystical beasts hiding there were very quiet. They could now absorb nature's spiritual energy and essence of the sun and moon without the need for food. It's worth mentioning that the sun and the moon within this worldlet are real, with a special formation allowing the sun and the moon above the mountaintop to be reflected inside the cave, clearly distinguishing day from night, rotating in synchronization with the outside world. On the 3rd day after Zhou Shui left, the girl in the green dress could not hold back and left the cave heaven to seek her tribespeople. Every 3 or 4 days, she would bring a group of mountain god creatures to the refuge. All these creatures maintained human forms, some with heads like wolves or dogs, some like eagles, able to articulate human speech. Fang Wang did not communicate much with them but let Fang Hanyu deal with them. In the blink of an eye, another month had gone by. That night, Fang Wang was cultivating by the lake, and Fang Hanyu, led by a mountain god creature, came to his side. After the creature left, he still seemed hesitant and didn't speak for quite some time. "What is it?" Fang Wang opened his eyes and wearily inquired. After everything that had happened, Fang Hanyu was still the same, timid as a shy bride. Fang Hanyu clenched his teeth and said, "Fang Wang, my back feels very itchy, especially when I'm cultivating. Could you take a look for me? Then sit down." Fang Wang responded, concerned there might be something wrong with Fang Hanyu's body. Although Zhou Shui hadn't been explicit before leaving, Fang Wang suspected that what she had installed in Fang Hanyu were the absolute heart evil eyes from Green Cicada Valley. Since they were evil eyes, they could possibly have side effects. With Fang Wang's assistance, Fang Hanyu got up and, with his back to him, slowly removed his clothes. In the moonlight, Fang Hanyu's fair back was covered in crimson lines, dense and maze-like, dazzling to the beholder. "This is..." Fang Wang narrowed his eyes, inspecting closely. There appeared to be a cultivation technique on Fang Hanyu's back. This technique didn't display a name, just the method of cultivation, which was clearly profound and advanced. "Did Green Cicada Valley etch something on your back?" Fang Wang asked with a frown. Fang Hanyu shook his head, speaking softly, "No, but before, in the Jihao sect's secret realm, something hit my back. I didn't pay much attention at the time." The Jihao sect's secret realm. Fang Wang's heart raced. Could this be the inheritance of a great cultivator from the Jihao sect? It wasn't just him. Fang Hanyu also realized this, his breathing becoming rapid. He whispered, "Fang Wang, take a closer look. If it's indeed an exceptional cultivation technique, you should learn it first." Fang Wang snorted, "No need to tell me, I'll teach you after I've mastered it." The corners of Fang Hanyu's mouth curled up, his mood buoyant. He finally wasn't a burden, he had finally helped Fang Wang. Fang Wang read carefully. The small world within the Fang realm fell silent, the rippling lake beside them mirroring their figures. Once Fang Wang had memorized all the text, his consciousness exploded and he entered the heavenly palace. Opening his eyes, he looked around the spacious hall of the heavenly palace and took a deep breath. As he began to recall that supreme technique, comprehension began to blossom in his mind, confusing parts became clear, leading to epiphanies. This time, he truly felt the power of the heavenly palace. It wasn't just about cultivating to great perfection. It was about mastering any method of cultivation. After integrating his understanding, Fang Wang learned the name of the technique from the words and lines of the method. 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art. The 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art was a powerful attack spell that allowed the user to transform into a dragon, possessing immense destructive power. The art had 9 levels, from low to high: Chi Dragon, Shape Dragon, White Dragon, Azure Dragon, Yellow Dragon, Purple Dragon, Red Dragon, Golden Dragon, and Black Dragon. The reason why the Black Dragon was ranked above the Golden Dragon was because this art brought destruction, not hope. After understanding the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art, Fang Wang became extremely interested and began to practice according to the cultivation method. However, the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art was harder to practice than he had imagined. It took him 9 years just to congeal the Chi Dragon. To practice up to the Shape Dragon, it took 17 years. This time, he was not frustrated but filled with a strong will to cultivate. The 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art was too powerful. The destructive power of the Shape Dragon was several times that of the Chi Dragon. Most crucially, the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art relied not only on one's own spiritual power but could also be combined with magic artifacts. The stronger the magic artifact, the greater the enhancement to the destructive power of the transformed dragon. Fang Wang became so immersed in the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art that he could not extricate himself, as time flew by swiftly. By the time he reached the 9th level Black Dragon to great perfection, he had spent a total of 273 years. This had surpassed the time he spent practicing the Solaris scripture, becoming the longest technique he had trained in. But the gains were also tremendous. As the Black Dragon, he felt he could destroy everything. If he wielded the Heavenly Palace halberd while transformed into the Black Dragon, it would be even more terrifying. When he finally reached great perfection, his surroundings shattered, and his consciousness returned to reality, where he was faced with Fang Hanyu's startling back. Fang Wang showed a smile, patted Fang Hanyu's back, and laughed. "This technique is extraordinary. Once your eyes are healed, I'll teach you how to practice it." Being patted on the back by Fang Wang, Fang Hanyu shuddered, goosebumps spreading all over. He hurriedly put on his clothes, then stood up and asked, "Did you memorize it?" "Of course, I never forget what I see." "Then you start practicing. I hope that once my eyes are healed, I can see you perform this technique. I'm sure it will shock you." Fang Wang said with a raised eyebrow and a smile, feeling pleased at having acquired the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art. It was undoubtedly the strongest offensive technique he had mastered to date. The Jinghong Divine Sword Art was indeed impressive, but it paled in comparison to the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art. With Li Hongshuang as a reference, he suddenly felt that he might indeed be able to challenge the Spirit Elixir realm. No, he mustn't get ahead of himself. Fang Wang reminded himself inwardly while watching Fang Hanyu leave unsteadily. Ellipsis. At Great Abyss Gate, in the Xiuan Hall. Guang Chushan was meditating while a dozen people stood above in the hall, among them Yang Yuanzi. The expressions on everyone's faces were solemn. Zhao Xuanqin, the inheritance elder who had taken Fang Wang into the 3rd lineage, spoke up, "Sect leader, the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art has caused an uproar in the western region. It isn't just the demonic path but also the righteous path's various sects that have joined the search and contention. Are we really not going to take part?" Upon hearing this, the other peak masters and elders started voicing their opinions. The chief disciple of the suspended vast sword sect, Shu Qiuming, has exchanged blows with an elder of Wangyu Mountain. First, it was the heavenly gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong, and now the 9 Dragons Divine Transformation Art. Why does it feel like someone is plotting behind the scenes? Whether it's a plot or not, we must get involved, at the very least to find out if it's true or who ultimately obtains it. This concerns the future layout of the 9 great sects. It's not good to get involved in this matter. Many of our disciples have encountered attacks from the Green Cicada Valley. Once we're involved, Green Cicada Valley will surely retaliate as if they have gone mad. Right, Brother Yang, when did you cultivate such a talent? Who is it exactly? To be able to master the Jinghong Divine Sword Art to the extent of 32 swords, how many swords have you reached now? A peak master shifted the topic to Yang Yuanzi, whose face remained expressionless and did not respond. Guang Chushan spoke up, enough, do not inquire further about the identity of the one in white. You all just need to know that such a disciple exists in the Great Abyss Gate. Li Hongshuang is dead, and Green Cicada Valley will definitely send spies to infiltrate us. We must protect him. Excitement filled his heart, for he knew who had inherited the Jinghong Divine Sword Art. That lad, in such a short period of cultivation, he had mastered the Jinghong Divine Sword Art to the extent of 32 swords, surpassing Yang Yuanzi, which astonished him. Perhaps this is the terrifying aspect of the Heaven Yuan spirit treasure. Let the first vein be responsible for investigating the whereabouts of the 9 dragons' divine transformation art. Remember, prioritize investigation, and don't be rash, Guang Chushan continued, then waved his sleeve to signal everyone to leave. Only Yang Yuanzi remained. After Xiuan Hall's doors closed, Yang Yuanzi frowned and said, I'm worried about Fang Wang. Although he's with his kin, they are all juniors. Guang Chushan nodded, I share the same concern. Let's send a direct disciple from the Spirit Elixir realm to find him. Yang Yuanzi shook his head, a direct disciple is not enough. Let Lu Yuanjun go, it's a good opportunity for them to meet in advance. If Lu Yuanjun can save his life during a moment of crisis, it would be hard for any conflict to arise between them in the future. Hearing this, Guang Chushan thought for a moment and then slowly nodded. Junior brother, do you think the 9 dragons' divine transformation art really has appeared? How would I know? Even if it has, so what? There are rumors that the 9 dragons' divine transformation art possesses the destructive power to flatten a kingdom. Jihao sect's dominance over vast territories owes much to the 9 dragons' divine transformation art. Those are just legends. Who has ever seen it with their own eyes? Besides, we have Fang Wang and Lu Yuanjun. Even if the other sects obtain the heavenly Gang Sheng Ti Zhen Gong or the 9 dragons' divine transformation art, the future still belongs to us. That's true. Fang Wang, that lad, has actually practiced the Jinghong Divine Sword Art to the extent of 32 swords. Looking at this, junior brother, you really have mediocre talent. Hey, I have mediocre talent, so what does that make you? Ellipsis. After acquiring the 9 dragons' divine transformation art, a month and a half passed, and Fang Wang finally broke through to the 4th layer of the soul sculpting realm. During this time, Fang Hanyu's cultivation speed increased rapidly, reaching the 5th layer of the II Cultivation realm, and he could even spar with demon beasts. The lad, blindfolded, could predict his opposition's attacks as if he wasn't blind at all, which made Fang Wang even more expectant towards the absolute heart evil eye. As more and more shapeshifting demons from the Mountain God clan arrived, Fang Realm began bustling with activity. These shapeshifting demons were very friendly to Fang Wang and Fang Hanyu, even helping to build houses for them. On this day, Fang Wang found Fang Hanyu and began teaching him the 9 dragons' divine transformation art. Though he had not yet removed the cloth from his eyes, he could practice spells, using his sense of breath and the flow of the air around him to judge his opponent's movements. Fang Hanyu had a good aptitude. After being taught for only half an hour by Fang Wang, he was left to practice on his own. Although the practice method of the 9 dragons' divine transformation art was profound, its specific techniques were not overly complicated, and after memorizing them, Fang Hanyu could contemplate them on his own. Noon. While Fang Wang was meditating by the lake, a beast with the body of a human and the head of a fox from the mountain god clan ran over, knelt beside him, and cried out, "Master Fang, you must save my sister." Fang Wang opened his eyes and saw a mask in his hand, the fox mask of the young girl in green. The survivors of the mountain god clan had almost all moved to Fang realm. In order to repay the kindness of the Fang family for taking them in, they began collecting spiritual flowers and herbs from all over to transplant into Fang realm. It had been a month since this started, with no incidents, nor had they encountered any demonic cultivators. Fang Wang frowned and asked, "What happened to her?" A human cultivator named Li Honggang captured her, and he commanded us, the mountain god clan beasts, to find the one in the white garment. If the white garment astonishing swan doesn't go to Hexia city within a month, he will kill my sister, but our clan hardly has 1/10 left. Where can we find the white garment astonishing swan? The mountain god beast cried as he spoke. The mountain god clan's advantage over other beasts is their early transformation. At present, the strongest beast in Fang realm was only comparable to a cultivator at the 4th layer of the soul sculpting realm. Li Honggang. The surname, Li, instantly made Fang Wang think of the Li family behind Li Hongshuang. Could the white garment astonishing swan that Li Honggang was searching for be him? When he executed the Jinghong divine sword art, he indeed wore white garments. 3.5 months had passed since Li Hongshuang's death. Green Cicada Valley had already retreated, but unexpectedly, the Li family had located this place. The Li family had no idea what he looked like. Upon this thought, Fang Wang turned to ask the demon beast beside him about the specific details of the incident. This demon, called Shan Shang, grew up alongside the girl in the green dress. They had been like siblings since childhood. After Green Cicada Valley began slaying the mountain god clan, Shan Shang had always accompanied the girl in her outings. Similarly, this time, during their collection of herbs, they were suddenly assailed by Li Honggang. A host of demon beasts joined forces, yet none was a match for Li Honggang. They had no choice but to let him abduct the girl in green. Why didn't he kill you all? Even if it was to spread a message, there was no need to let all of you live, right? Fang Wang asked, frowning. Shan Shang was startled and shook his head, puzzled. Fang Wang looked towards Fang Hanyu in the distance. The girl in green had saved Fang Hanyu's life before, and now that she was in trouble, he indeed couldn't stand by and do nothing. Moreover, if he let the girl in green fall into the hands of the Li family, they would sooner or later force her to reveal the location of the Fang realm. He might as well take action sooner. Having made up his mind, Fang Wang stood up and extended his right hand towards Shan Shang, saying, "Give me the mask." Upon hearing this, Shan Shang quickly handed over the fox mask in his hand to Fang Wang. Fang Wang stowed it away in his storage bag, then inquired about the direction of Hexia City. After Shan Shang replied, he headed towards Fang Hanyu. Arriving at Fang Hanyu's side, Fang Wang recounted the events. Fang Hanyu wanted to follow along but was refused by him. "This trip might be a trap. You would only hinder me if you came. Since it is the doing of the Li family, they are surely targeting me. If they come looking after I leave, you'd better pretend you don't know me," Fang Wang conveyed through a private message, still retaining a bit of wariness towards the mountain god clan. Hearing this, Fang Hanyu clenched the hands inside his sleeves and nodded slowly. "You must be careful. Don't worry." Fang Wang patted his shoulder and then turned to walk towards the cave entrance. In the tunnel, Fang Wang took out a set of black clothes from his storage bag to put on and also donned a bamboo hat. He wasn't that naive. Before taking any action, He needed to investigate thoroughly. After leaving the Fang realm, Fang Wang flew towards the direction pointed out by Shan Shang, quickly vanishing into the horizon. Ellipsis. Hexia City, situated on the western border of the Qi dynasty, had been isolated from the world since the early days of the dynasty and had become a city frequented by cultivators. The city was surrounded by mountains on all sides and, spanning a modest 10 or so miles, could only be considered a small city. However, its walls were towering and imposing. Cultivators would occasionally arrive by flying sword, landing in front of the southern and northern city gates and paying spirit stones to enter the city. Inside the city, within a residence. In the room, the girl in the green dress was eating pastries. She had put on a white opera mask again, slightly tilting it up to reveal only her small mouth, appearing just like any other person. "Mountain God, are you eating well?" A firm and vigorous voice sounded as a middle-aged man wearing a black robe stepped into the room with a vigorous stride, his gray hair cascading behind him. He had a square face, thick brows, fierce eyes, and 3 scars on his cheeks as if scratched by the claws of some wild beast. The girl in green immediately stopped, pulled down her mask, and huffed, "I've already said, I don't know the white garment astonishing swan. I have never even met him. When I saved the Tai Yuan sect disciples, it was out of pity. Because of this, my mountain god clan has already paid a heavy price." Li Honggang sat down opposite her, pouring himself a cup of wine, and said, "Whether you know him or not isn't important. Your mountain god clan has the power to command the spirit demons of the wilderness. What I want is for you to help me send a message. If it weren't for holding you captive, would those demons put in their best effort?" The girl in green clothes fell silent for a moment, and only after several breaths did she finally speak. "This incident happened months ago, the major sects have already left, and the white garment astonishing swan is likely long gone. No, those sects are all competing for the legacy of the Jihao sect. Members of my Li family are also present, and they haven't found out where the white garment astonishing swan went. I suspect that the Great Abyss Gate disciple saved by the white garment astonishing swan was seriously injured and needed time to heal, which is why they must be hiding nearby." Li Honggang shook his head and said. The girl in green huffed, "With the Li family's influence, why don't you mobilize all the family disciples to search for them?" "How could that be possible? Li Hongshuang joining the demonic sect was already a disgrace for the Li family. The family would not mobilize forces over this, much less take revenge on the Great Abyss Gate. As a family member, if Li Hongshuang is dead, then he's dead, it's not worth the pursuit. However, standing from a father's perspective, I must have a battle with the white garment astonishing swan to resolve this cause and effect." Li Honggang said coldly, his voice filled with an indescribable aura that enveloped the room, making the girl in green not dare to even take a deep breath. The room once again fell into silence. Li Honggang drained the cup of wine in one gulp and then said, "I've come here to inform the mountain god not to worry. Even if the white garment astonishing swan does not come in a month's time, I will still let you leave. I've already spread the message, and, if white garment astonishing swan has an ounce of pride, he will come. Then, mountain god, you will witness our showdown." Having said that, Li Honggang stood up and left. The girl in green didn't stand up but remained seated in silence. She naturally knew who the white garment astonishing swan was. The one who saved Fang Hanyu was the one, but she had not mentioned this to her clan, fearing it would bring trouble. Now, all she could do was pray in her heart that Fang Wang would not be impetuous. Ellipsis. The sun was setting in the west. Dressed in black and wearing a bamboo hat, Fang Wang stood in front of the city gate, watching the cultivators come and go, his heart filled with suspicion. The city did not seem like a trap. He approached the city guards to inquire about the cost of entering the city. Entering the city requires 10 inferior spirit stones, or 20 elixirs of spiritual energy, the guard replied. In the II Cultivation realm, spirit stones are classified from low to high as inferior, middle, superior, and ultimate, just like magic artifacts. The sects cut the spirit stones into equally weighted pieces, distributed them to their disciples, and traded with noble families, creating a currency system. The value difference between each grade is tenfold. A middle grade spirit stone is equivalent to 10 inferior spirit stones. As a direct disciple, Fang Wang received 10 superior spirit stones every month, and the elixirs of spiritual energy also served as a currency type, with standardized specifications for use in cultivation and recovery of spiritual power, equivalent to spirit stones. After paying 20 elixirs of spiritual energy, Fang Wang entered the city. His attire was not unusual, as most cultivators wore bamboo hats, and some even covered their faces. Walking down the street, Fang Wang observed the scenery of Hexia City, having heard of its legend before he began his cultivation. Among the common folk, Hexia City was known as the Vanished Ghost City, with various versions of the story, nearly all of which believed that the reason for Hexia City's disappearance was that it had been occupied by ghosts and demons. If mortals encountered Hexia City, it would undoubtedly mean death. It was not a ghost city after all, simply taken over by cultivators. Inside Hexia City, there were numerous shops, and Fang Wang finally saw street stalls, bustling and thriving. Cultivation techniques, secret manuals, elixirs, heavenly materials and earthly treasures, magic artifacts, talisman paper, rare treasures, and demon pets, you name it, they had it, even more cosmopolitan than the towns he had visited before. As he walked, Fang Wang often heard cultivators mention the names of Li Honggang, White Garment Astonishing Swan, and Jihao Sect. He quickly came to understand that Li Honggang had put out a message to challenge the White Garment Astonishing Swan. As the father of Li Hongshuang, he issued the challenge to the White Garment Astonishing Swan. If the White Garment Astonishing Swan won, then this cause and effect would be considered settled. The city was so lively because many cultivators came for the showdown between the White Garment Astonishing Swan and Li Honggang. Considering this, it didn't look like a trap. Li Honggang was taking the high road. Just as Fang Wang was pondering, he suddenly saw a familiar figure. He looked carefully and indeed, it was Ji Yu Li. Ji Yu Li stood in front of a busy stall, her gaze fixed on a batch of demon pet eggs on the ground. She wore a tight-fitting purple dress, a sword case on her back, a bamboo hat on her head, and a blue veil over her face, very much the same as when Fang Wang first saw her. Fang Wang immediately walked up behind Ji Yu Li and spoke softly, "Miss Ji Yu. What are you doing here?" Upon hearing this, Ji Yu Li turned her head to look at him, her beautiful eyes lighting up with joy. Fang Wang's heartstrings were plucked by her gaze. He reminded himself internally, "Illusion, it must be an illusion, she only wishes to challenge me." "Brother Fang, let's talk somewhere else," Ji Yu Li said joyfully. Before finishing her sentence, she took Fang Wang's hand and led him away. This was the first time Fang Wang, in his life, had been taken by the hand by a woman other than his mother, and he was somewhat unprepared. Thanks for watching. This is the end of the video.